just a case. You're not just a client. You're a person, and you deserve support. You deserve simplicity. You deserve communication. When you hire an attorney, you deserve clear, risk-free advice that guides you to the best possible outcome in your injury case. And that's exactly what the advocates have been providing for over 30 years. After your accident, you deserve closure. You deserve compassion. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve an advocate.
This is the Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find the Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, the Monty Show, as always, presented by The Advocates at theadvocates.com, where you get clear, risk-free advice 24/7, 365 when you need it most, how you need it, where you need it. You need it on an iPhone because you're in a hospital, face-to-face in their office, face-to-face in your home, how you need it, when you need it, where you need it. That's what you get from theadvocates.com. They understand that when you're looking for an injury attorney, it's one of the worst days of your life. You don't need to be worried about how much it's going to cost. Can you afford it? Yes, you can afford it, because at the Advocates, you never reach into your pocket to pay for the best legal advice. No, friends. You don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case at theadvocates.com. Oh, boy. Just another day. I mean, I guess we could have just replayed the show from yesterday, because you get this situation with Greg Sankey. Now, apparently, and I see a lot of Big 12 fans talking about how somehow, some way, Brett Yormark is parroting what Greg Sankey has said. We want a 5'11". We want, opportunity. And there's a lot of people who feel like Brett Yormark bent the knee under the pressure of the Red Wedding, otherwise known as Greg Sankey. That was a Game of Thrones ref. Nothing?
Right,
okay.
Right, yeah.
Do you believe that Brett Yormark and the Big 12 caved under pressure from the SEC?
No, I mean, I think what the Big 12 did is they were put in a position where they had to choose the lesser of two evils, in my opinion. Meaning, the 5 and 11 format, doesn't really guarantee them anything outside of their conference champion being in. So it could be one team in and that's it. But they get more access in a 16-team, CFP model, or you go with the other model that's being proposed, which is 4 for the Big 10, 4 for the SEC, 2 for the Big 12, 2 for the ACC, and so on and so forth. And you most certainly have the optics of bending the knee, because you're saying that you're half as worthy as the SEC at that point, that your conference is not the quality of the SEC, and that your conference can't compete on that level, so you deserve half of what the SEC and the Big are getting. Is that true?
Is that perception a reality? Because inevitably, I think we're in this universe now where you either have to ride the coattails. If you're the Big 12, and noticeably absent in all of these conversations is the ACC, I would remind you. But if you are the Big 12, I think you have to do what you have to do to survive. And I think one of the things that I will continue to talk about, one of the things that I will say in perpetuity, Greg Sankey is not looking to shrink the game of football. He is not looking to eliminate the Big 12 and the ACC. Hell, he's not looking to eliminate the G5, which I think he probably should do. But I think one of the things that's very clear is Brett Yormark is an operator. Brett Yormark understands where college football is going, and Brett Yormark understands how to make deals. And while some will tell you that the Big 12, collapsed under the weight of the SEC or bent the knee, as I saw on the old X machine today, I'm here to tell you this is what's good for business. I go back to Kirk Schultz and the Pac-12 standing in the way of the college football playoff and $600 billion trillion. And that was never going to happen because Kirk Schultz needed to breathe. And when we're talking about the air that is critical to survive in college football, it's the SEC and it's Greg Sankey, and I think Brett Yormark did the right thing.
Well, first and foremost, I like 16. More access is better for the Big 12 for sure. But I'm also about fairness. And there's been a lot of conversations out there about AQs. And, from where I sit, and I know I speak on behalf of our coaches and our ADs, we want to earn it on the field. And I'm adamant about that. And I think a 5+11 format does that. It's fair. It's what our fans want. And they don't want an invitational. They want a true playoff system. And we have that right now. I thought last year going to a 12-team format was fantastic. It played out exactly how people had hoped. It was very dramatic. It created a lot of interest. Going to 16, I think, does more of that. But I think we need to put these multiple AQs, take it out of the conversation and focus on what's right for college football. And I think 5+11 does that, and that's our preference.
I don't know how much more you can pair it what Greg Sankey has said, because remember what the 5+11 is, right? That is the 5 highest ranked conference champions. So you would assume the entirety of the P4 and then the highest ranked G5 champion gets in, and then 11 at-large bids. And how those 11 at-large are determined and what that looks like, I think that part is still to be determined. Because as we've talked about on this show, I think you guys are well aware by now, I'm a big believer that strength of schedule has to be one of the most important components. I think it is not only fair, it is critical. And you look at the document that the SEC shared with its constituents today, and you look at this right here. This is the average Massey rating, and the fact that the SEC only has 2 teams outside the top 50 in the Massey in the last 10 years. 2 teams outside in the last, I said 10 years. And if that wasn't enough, now you start looking at strength of record over the last 10 years, and they've only got 2 teams outside the top 50 in the last 10 years on strength of record, which is remarkable. Remarkable. I cannot describe to you how different that is and how incredible it is that when you start listening to guys like Mark Harlan, the athletic director at Utah that we talked about last night when the show was ending, this news was breaking. That, he is strongly behind Mark Harlan at Utah 5-11. I think the public and we agree that you have to win this thing on the field. And listen, I know all these people watch the Monty program.
Clearly.
But how long have we been saying that you have to find a way to get along here? You have to find a way to be on a similar trajectory, because this is a little bit longer of a bite from Greg Sankey. But listen to what the messaging here. Put yourself in Brett Yormark's shoes. Put yourself in Jim Phillips's shoes at the ACC, Tony Petitti at the Big Ten, all of the presidents in the country, all of the athletic directors in the country. And you have the czar of college football telling you that he's not open to compromise.
Consensus building is one thing. Continual compromise that diminishes is another. And we were in a CFP meeting 6 weeks ago with the full group, and one of my colleagues in a different conference said, well, what we need is to compromise. And I said, look, to achieve this point, I'll make the list of compromises. I don't think you want me to share it again. A couple of those are these allocations for other conferences. And when we did that, we were introducing a political solution because we needed unanimity. So the 5 conference champions having access to a playoff. I always said, let's go 1 through 8, 1 through 12. I've said in the current contest, let's go 1 through 16, but we have this political compromise around 5 conference champions. I don't need that compromise. The SEC doesn't need that compromise. We've earned everything that we've obtained in the college football playoff through the agreed upon process. others have displaced. It is harder for me to explain in my room in this era, after all of the movement of teams, why those types of allocations exist. That generates conversation. Well, if one point of allocation is healthy for someone else, and when you look at the metrics, our conference is unique competitively. Whether it's the Massey ratings compilation over the last 4 or 10 years, SP Plus, which I'm still not sure what that is. You know, you just pick strength of record. You know, we don't have many teams outside the top 50 frequently. Everybody else does, has a much different spread. That's different, and that has to be understood. And so when you bring that into allocations for others, it properly, I think, raises a question. Why don't you go get more for us? And again, I'll go back to my philosophy, which I think is a responsibility for the game. I didn't want allocations. What I thought was appropriate was, hey, let's have criteria. Let's pick 1 through 12. You weren't going to change anything. And we ultimately compromised on 4. Now, how many more compromises are there to make this work? And maybe those compromises need to come from some other corner rather than the Southeastern Conference.
Bro.
I don't know what else he can say. And again, I understand that we're probably worn out on this topic, but every day you see more and more people coming to Sankey's side of the line. And what I think is so funny is you hear all the non-SEC supporters losing their shit over the fact that, well, everything's handed to them and they want to slam the system. Has everything been handed to the SEC? And if your answer is yes, tell me how it's been handed to them. Because I don't view it that way. The dynasties in the modern era of college football have largely landed in the SEC. That means they've had teams, Alabama, Georgia, that have won consistently year after year after year. All they do is win games, right? And then Alabama has Nick Saban retire. They don't go to the college football playoff, and the college football world rejoices that they're held out. And now you have a system where Greg Sankey is suggesting, let's get rid of the AQs, earn it on the field. Oh, that's terrible. The SEC is going to steal it. Okay, well, let's have a 5+11 where the 5 highest ranked conference champions get in, and then there's 11 more. Oh, the SEC is going to steal it. What would you have him do? Because nothing Greg Sankey says and nothing Greg Sankey does is ever going to be good enough for all of the people in college football who just don't win enough games on the field.
Can't say it better myself.
That's what this comes down to.
It's a classic schoolyard playground conversation. You're not doing enough to be included in the group in terms of decision making, and you know, when that gets brought up, and when the SEC is out here making PowerPoints and printing them out and handing them to you, showing you that they don't frequently have multiple teams outside of the top 50, and you quite frequently do, and you're not happy about that, yeah, I would probably be going towards the 5-11 model as well.
And this comes down to all the folks who say, oh, the Big Ten's better than the SEC. Well, show me where that bears out in data. Show me where that bears out in statistics, because it simply does not. It simply does not. If you look at the numbers and you understand what the numbers tell you, at best they're close, and usually they're better. And you look at last year, who really got screwed last year? The SEC did. And then you start looking at it in a 10-year window. And this isn't parity. This is domination. This graphic you're looking at is domination. It's not parity. This right here, strength of record, is not parity. And we've talked about this for days and days on the show. And Big Ten fan, oh, we've won 2 national champions. No, you haven't. Michigan's a bunch of scumbag cheating losers who stole a national championship. So that you're not getting credit for that. And Ohio State, I think, largely got screwed by those cheating scumbag losers in Ann Arbor. And you tried to hand them an impossible road to navigate. And they not only navigated it, they dominated it.
Agreed.
and won what is, I think, inarguably, but some would argue, but I think inarguably the most dominant national championship ever.
Yeah, most difficult road, most dominant performances. Yeah, I mean, you can't have it both ways. And I think that I don't know. I think something you just said 2 minutes ago about, if people are tired of talking about this, I'm not quite sure how you as a college football fan can get tired of talking about this. This is the off the football field fight of your life if you're not the SEC and the Big Ten. And you've got Brett Yormark having to do what commissioners have to do, which is go on ESPN and say what you're in favor of and let the world know. And behind the scenes, you're having to most likely, I would guess in the Big 12, first of all, explain the differences between these two models and how it affects your members, one. Two, once everybody's on the same page about what the two models are, then from there, you're going to have to explain why the 5 and 11 is better for you, even though it has less guarantees. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. That's a very difficult position to be in.
I agree.
And I do agree. And you said this before the show, and now I'm starting to see it on X here, starting to come out with all the writers and everyone talking about it, that Greg Sankey wants to push this conversation towards eliminating the committee.
That's exactly right.
And getting this conversation towards, because again, the Brett Yormark bite, I think is very much, hey, we're working with Greg. This is the Big 12's best path forward. We may not like it, but it is in fact our best path forward, which is, hey, we still have our conference champion getting in, but now as a conference, we gotta move forward. We gotta start winning football games on the field in order to keep, our chances up. And some years that means we're only going to get one team in, and other years maybe we get 3 teams in. But that's where it's going.
And you can't have jackwagon loser from Michigan putting all of his friends in and trying to damage Ohio State. Like that's not going to work, right? And I think when you listen to Greg Sankey talk about just how bad the selection process was last year, I think it lacked integrity, it lacked ethics, it lacked clarity or understanding for what went into it. Oh, I know why, because the scumbag losers in Ann Arbor don't have any kind of a plan. They're not intelligent people. They're terrible administrators. Like we're watching that play out. Well, guess what? The scumbag losers in Michigan probably helped the SEC and everybody else in college football understand how bad it is, to allow idiots like Ward Manuel to be anywhere around anything that's important and damages young people's lives, because that's all Ward Manuel at Michigan has done, in my opinion, is damage young people's lives. It's like that's his contract, is to how can we single-handedly ruin as many young people in this country as possible? Well, we can put Ward Manuel in charge of anything, and he'll do that. Well, guess what? Now you're seeing the consequences of that. Now you're seeing a 5-11 model where I think human beings are largely going to be rendered useless in the selection process, as it should be. Absolutely as it should be. And what's going to matter is who won on the field and who lost on the field. And if you don't win games, you're not getting into the college football playoff. No more free rides from jerk off in Ann Arbor. No more easy schedule for Penn State and cock on thigh. No, those days are over.
No more free passes for Indiana.
Those days are over. It is, I think it should be 1 through 16, period. Done. So I don't think the conference championship should matter.
Then the question, obviously, that we have to ask is, okay, let's say that we did get to a place where it was just 1 through 16. What is the binding metric to rank these teams? Because if that's where it goes, there has to be a universally agreed upon metric that is level across the board, right? There has to be a way for the Big 12 and the SEC on a piece of paper to say, yep, we did the same thing, and the only difference was we won more games, or we, like whatever it might be. And I think this is where the uncomfortable conversation around the Super League has to come in, because it's cool to talk about 1 through 16 and, hey, well, why don't we just go top to bottom, no AQs. Well, because the reality is we don't have a way for all these teams in college football to play by the same standard.
Correct.
Which is why AQs got brought up in the first part.
And I go back to the college football power index at ESPN last year, which is what this graphic is. And you look at strength of schedule and you start to understand why it can't just be strength of schedule 1 through 16. Michigan was terrible last year.
Yeah.
Right? You can't have Michigan getting into the college football playoffs an embarrassment.
Well, and the proper way to vocalize that is this strength of schedule metric right here is not a proper representation of the best teams in college football.
Correct.
That's what that is.
But what it is a proper representation of the teams on this list who won a lot of games and should be rewarded because they're, one of the top 11 to 16 teams in the country. And look at that. Georgia has the number 1 strength of schedule, in Ohio State, who again got absolutely screwed by that scumbag loser in Ann Arbor, had the number 2 strength of schedule last year. But just because Mississippi State had the number 3 strength of schedule, well, you got to win games on the field.
So I do think there's a world where you could say, okay, and this is, I think, what we've talked about so much on the show is like, hey, okay, well, let's look at strength of schedule, just at face value, right? Who played the most difficult strength of schedule? Who had the hardest schedules? That's our first sort of, line item, right? That we're going to rank these teams by. Then we're going to look at overall record, right? Because you got to look at overall record.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, there's got to be some sort of benchmark, whether that's, hey, to get into the CFP, you have to be a 10-win team, or like there's got to be some type of benchmark there. You got to have one of the best strength of schedules. You got to be a 10-win team.
See, and I think I would do it based on strength of schedule, strength of record. Third, I would probably have it strength of schedule, record against power fours, strength of record, and then I think if you're still, because you're never probably getting past the second tiebreaker, but you can use any metric you want after that. My opinion is you have to have the ability to look at those top 16 teams and say, how important were those wins really? Notre Dame didn't belong in the national championship last year, not on the schedule they played, right? But if you look at their strength of schedule, well, they supposedly had the 4th strength of schedule, the 3rd strength of record, right? Like I understand it. I get it. But I think you have to reward, and this is what my point is, you have to reward the SEC because it is by far the best football conference, and it's not close.
Yeah, and I think to that point, that's what I'm saying. Like people who are lighting up Brett Yormark for bending the knee, as they say, or taking concessions to make Greg Sankey happy, you're not looking at this the right way, in my opinion, because the Big 12, like Brett Yormark's task here as the commissioner of the conference is to put the conference in the best position possible moving forward. Not only from a monetary perspective, from a competitiveness perspective, certainly from an academics perspective, like that's his job. And so the best way to do that is not by, taking half as much as the SEC, but by saying, hey, we're going to take some risk on the front end that, hey, we don't have as many guaranteed spots, but damn, dude, can we get it going in Lubbock? Can we start winning some games in Salt Lake? Like, can we? Because again, with all due respect, and we talk about Utah on the show a lot. From a Big 12 perspective, Utah hasn't been anything so far. Now, I think they will be, but that's a different conversation. So if you're Brett Yormark, you're sitting here saying to your conference, and you're, in your room, as these guys like to say, you're sitting here saying to these people, bro, we have to start winning on the field, which is why I think last night you had Mark Harlan saying we need to win on the field, right? You had Brett Yormark saying we need to win on the field. My question is, for the Big 12 specifically, where are the ADs from the middle of the country in this conference? Wait.
Where are the ADs from the Big 10? Where are the presidents from the Big 10? Where's Tony Petitti? Where is anybody in the ACC? You know where they are? They're hiding from the SEC. Why aren't they doing media? Oh, because we're all talking about the SEC. Because that's what people care about. Do you really think, and I know this will probably piss people off, but do you really think if the Virginia athletic director was out talking about Virginia football, he would even be a blip on the radar with SEC media days coming to an end here, the spring meetings? Nobody would care. Nobody would care. I think it goes to tell you the power of Brett Yormark's brand, that the Big 12 meetings overlap with the end of the SEC meetings, and we're all talking about Brett Yormark and Greg Sankey. And the real issue is, and what a lot of people don't want to talk about is, what's the dominant brand in college athletics? What's the dominant brand in college football? The SEC. Who's the dominant personality in college athletics right now? Come on. It's not close. It's Greg Sankey.
Yeah.
And when you look at the fact that they do media every day, the Big Ten met last week and didn't do, I don't believe they had a media session. The SEC did media every day and has throngs of media members there. Every major media member is at SEC Media Day.
Mm-hmm.
Every major one, or at spring meetings, excuse me. I think we are headed in the right direction, and I think my only complaint here is that the G5 continues to get a free pass into the college football playoff.
Mm-hmm. And I'm assuming, that will get addressed, but that's certainly, that's going to be, in terms of importance, that's going to be behind figuring out what the Power Four are doing. And I agree. There's no way that the Boise State situation can happen again. That's just not, like, you don't want to have the G5 on that document we just showed you from the SEC.
Well, and I think that the scumbag losers in Ann Arbor can never have a hand in how the college football playoff is decided.
Well, and again, I think that's the other important piece here. Like, not having a committee takes all the corruption out of it, right?
Yes.
Like, whether we're talking about Ward Manuel or Bubba Cunningham, you can't have a committee. And I think that everyone wants to say, oh, well, this should be decided on the field. Okay, well, then decide it on the field. Like, put your neck out there, Big 12, and say, yep, we're agreeing to a 5-11 model, and it's going to be decided on the field.
And I think the hardest part for the Big 12 is, again, not to beat this dead horse, but Utah, Oak State, Texas Tech, Kansas,
multiple
K-State.
Key brands.
Like, the list of disappointments in this league last year were massive. That can't happen again. Can't happen again. Because the idea, because all the Big 12 fans want to say, well, we beat up on each other. Yeah, but that's what everybody's doing in November.
Isn't that every conference?
That's every single conference late in the season.
And I think, too, for the Big 12, like, you look at how the conference is made up, and nobody's saying that every team in the conference has to just be incredible. But what you do have to have is, in my opinion, for the Big 12, you got to have 5-6 teams vying for the championship of the conference in October. Like, you got to have 5-6 legitimate contenders who are in the conversation and in the rankings every week.
I agree.
Because and we've seen this play out, right? And this is kind of Greg Sankey's point. Hey, if we've got, 7 teams that are vying in the old model for two spots, like, you're getting that in. You're going to fill up half the college football playoff. So I just think that I want the Big 12 to, I guess what I would say is, I hope that coming off of these meetings and coming off of, like, the Brett Yormark comments and what Greg Sankey is saying, I hope that administrators in the Big 12 don't take it personally, but more say, okay, this is our opportunity to get back into the conversation. If we double down, right, and we invest in our programs, and we take NIL seriously, and take the portal seriously, and take, hiring good coaches on our staffs for football seriously, we can get back into the conversation. Because, again, I'm just going to tell you, you're never going to be the SEC, but you can certainly beat the hell out of the ACC.
And I agree with you. Amongst these changes, we have to get the corruption out of the process.
Yeah.
We have to get people like Ward Manuel to never be allowed to play a role in
How's
the
a Michigan man making
again.
a decision on Ohio State in the college football playoff?
And screwing them.
Clearly.
Like, it's amazing to me that It's amazing to me that goes on with the absolute lawlessness with which Michigan runs its athletic department, the humiliation that is Michigan basketball, the humiliation that is having the FBI on your campus. Like, to put that piece of shit in charge of the selection committee was, I mean, just, he is. Do you guys understand what a loser Ward Manuel is? Do you guys understand the scandals and the awfulness that he oversaw? You can never allow an absolute loser like Ward Manuel to be the chair of that committee. It can never happen again.
It's insane.
I think it was so bad, and it worked out great. It brings me great pleasure seeing, Jim Harbaugh absolutely smack Michigan in the face, Santaono smacking Michigan in the face by taking a job of lesser stature at Florida. You just look at the way the FBI dominated Matt Weiss. It brings me great pleasure that Ohio State was able to put its foot on the throat of Michigan. Because if there was anybody who screwed college football last year, it was Michigan.
Yeah.
And I take great pride in the fact that loser will never have a chance to coach college football again. Okay, I feel better.
Good.
Joseph Harper. If the NBA looking for Anthony Edwards and Donovan Mitchell to be the new faces of the league, then they're in trouble, because icons like that can't have their team fold up in the playoffs like a cheap suit.
Next hour.
Because Jake is, and I never thought I would say this, especially not on the day that he wore pastels.
Dude, hold on. Bro, I'm a TCU fan now.
Who's calling you, man?
I don't know. Someone from California. I don't know. Spam call. Anyway,
Okay,
don't
okay.
interrupt me.
I'm
I'm
sorry,
a TCU fan.
Let me
now.
go ahead and single you up there.
I'm a horned frog, right? My frog is horning. Isn't it great? Aren't you excited for me that now I've graduated into the next chapter of my life, and purple is just my color? Isn't that great? Aren't you excited for me?
Listen, what James getting a knuckle deep on you in the privacy of your own home is up to you. Whatever it is, did James buy you that shirt? Was that a gift from Oak State?
It came from an anonymous donor, so I can only assume.
And actually, I think we should probably now rename Oak State James Horny James.
Right.
Because he is getting divorced and he is now a TCU fan. So Horny James, I mean,
yeah,
you guys are,
yeah,
Jesse Crum, smash the like button. Yes, please. David Persons. Greg Darth Sankey has given you permission to go live. Yes, he has.
Yes.
Again, speaking of horny people, horny David Persons. It's a TCU fan, man.
Yeah.
Roche, yo, smash the like button, yes. Brad Slacker, hello. Lamont Tucker, hello. Lamont, you're probably not happy with me. Brad Slacker, Oregon State admin abruptly canceled a scheduled interview on sports radio. Are things about to break? They very well could be. I am not going to tell you.
Running out of time.
I'm not going to tell you what I've continued to hear this morning, but it's fine. TJ Beck, if San Diego State JD Dicker was a cartoon character, he would be Woody Woodpecker. Really good chance of that.
Okay.
And there he is, Horny James.
Wow.
Greetings from Central Texas. Hit the like button. Hey, it's Barney. Danny Kiger says purple is the fastest color, Jake.
Yeah, so do we put purple in front of salmon, or where are we ranking
it's
the
salmon,
colors?
please.
Did you guys prefer the salmon, or is purple better for you guys? Is it easier on the eyes?
Grad Slacker. Purple is the color of royalty.
Okay.
Wow. Justin Thomas is +8 at the Memorial. I'm sorry. Does that say +8?
Yes.
Good night. Michael Lacrone should be little 12. Okay. Horny James says Jake looks great today. I love the purple polo. Go Frogs. I bet you do. Monty must be calling a Little League game right after the show, too. What do you mean?
Yeah, what does that mean?
I don't know what that means. I don't know. Jacob Steinecker, but Monty. No but Monties. When is Meat Chicken going to repent for cheating? Jake needs more roller meat. Okay. Jake, when are you going to eat off the roller again?
I have no idea, dude. I have no plans to do that. So
When are you going to go hang out with the scumbag Kansas City Chiefs fans?
I don't know. We don't have.
Jake misses Kansas City. He told me today he wants to move there, have kids and stuff. Do you guys see the divorce rate amongst millennials is skyrocketing.
Dave's in opposition.
We'll talk about this later in the show. If you're a millennial and you're thinking about getting married, don't do it. Wait it out. Divorce rates amongst millennials skyrocketing. Jeff Woodworth, can we all just be friends? No, probably not. Roche 4422 is anti-sportsmanship. Win it on the field. The Big Ten and SEC will be fine. They're good. What are they worried about? They just want handouts. No, I don't think they do. I think Greg Sankey very much favors a 5+11 because I think he knows that his conference wins games. And I think he knows that the perception, because it's certainly not reality, the perception is that more people will have a chance to win, which I just don't think is the case.
Right.
But I could be wrong. Man, F. Greg Sankey, all my homies hate Sankey. I bet they do.
Okay.
I bet they do.
Okay.
I think he is universally one of the most hated guys in all of
Why
college.
do you guys hate him? What? I'm still waiting for the reason.
I don't know. Because you can't, and I'm sure you'll figure out a way. You can't make the argument that Greg Sankey has done damage to college football.
Yeah.
And then say, well, why do you think that is? Oh, Greg Sankey. I love the guy who's like, oh, Greg Sankey's bad for college football. Okay, tell me why. Well, I got to get to work or I would. Like it's the vernal equinox. I can't do it.
Yeah. Every excuse in the book, bro.
If it wasn't the vernal equinox, I could explain, but it's the vernal equinox. It's
the fucking vernal equinox.
Got to get leg day in.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't come up with a legitimate reason as to what Greg Sankey, he himself has done that has damaged college football. Because all he's done since he got to the SEC is make them more money, raise their profile, get them paid into a legitimate TV deal. Did you guys see Big Noon Kickoff in the 3:30 games to start the season on CBS? And listen, I understand that I am on this show most days in the minority on my opinions. But is there anybody who really gives a rat's ass about the slate of games that CBS announced today for the Big Ten? Am I the only one that is absolutely scratching my head at why there is not a single relevant matchup on this list? Not one. Nobody cares about Nevada and Penn State. And good old cock on thigh's probably going to lose that game anyways.
That's fucking interesting, man.
Oklahoma State at Oregon. SC at Perdon't. Scumbags at Nebraska. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I'm not sure why this is.
This is what you paid billions of dollars for. To bring us this for the 3:30 Eastern kickoffs.
Yeah, I don't.
This is
what are we missing?
This is what you paid billions of dollars for. I don't understand.
By the way, I hope that Oklahoma State is actually better because if they're not, they're going to get exposed.
Yeah, we need resident Oklahoma State fan Case Sumbry to tell us how Oak State did in the portal and what kind of spring, how bad Hoss Hengy was this spring.
Right.
He was
terrible. This
man
was a bona fide scrub.
He was terrible.
Terrible.
Jeff Woodworth, how do these two models affect your member? It moved, Jerry. It moved. Neither way, because I would just remind you that Notre Dame has a say whether you want them to or not. Mountain Mama. I saw an acoustic version, John Denver in the late 70s singing Country Road. And it was, you want to talk about it moving? It moved.
Did it?
It didn't move. It full on twitched listening to that. I bet you two are also tired of going over this. I get it. News is slow, but I just want football to start. I don't actually think news is slow at all.
And respectfully, bro, I'm not tired of talking about this. I think this is the fight of the century.
This is a massively important topic.
Yeah.
And it's evolving every single day. Jeff Woodworth, Big 12 and SEC have always teamed up with the NCAA in the playoff stuff. Let's hope that continues, right? Horny James. If you don't like that the SEC and Big 10 have made clout, have more clout.
Whoa, dude. Clout's a young man's term now. You be careful. Clout's a very young man's term now.
Look at this. Guy goes horny, and all of a sudden he's coming up with different verbiage.
Wow.
Then we need to win on the field. Oak State has to go to Oregon. No more excuses. Get her done. Well, what about TCU? What about your Horned Frogs? Where do you guys have to go? Where you got to get her done?
Get her done.
Get her done,
Get
boy.
her done.
Hey, boy. Anyway, Loner Phone, hello to you. Mr. Jeezy, Mr. Capazzo. Hit the like button, people. It's not that hard. No, please do. That always helps the show grow. Jeff Woodworth, 5'11 models are awesome. Yeah,
dude, I mean, you know, come on.
The funny thing is, my wife is 5'11, right? Jake's favorite 5'11 model, Bryson DeChambeau, right here. All right, we should probably move on. Let's.
Please.
Wow. What?
Wow.
Okay. TJ Beck gives 20. Wow. Thank you, TJ. Always good to see you. Appreciate the membership.
How's the flying going, TJ?
Yeah, Mr. In an Airplane. Let's see who got in on it. Connor Coyle, Adam Bader, 801 West Valley, Anthony Dixon. Good for you. Shenandoah Daddy.
Who the fuck are you?
Shenandoah Daddy. Chef Brian K. Tommy Dubay. Ryan Day's championship beard. You know.
What would I do without you?
Jason Ritchie, Oregon Stacker, got in. Joshua Taylor, Jamie Bengals girl. Okay, Jamie. Okay. I like it. Good to see all of you.
Oh my God, just like that. Oh.
Yes. Take them all. Yes.
I've heard that about you.
Pick all the memberships.
I've heard that about you. No way Big Ten deserves more than 3 auto bids. I don't think the Big Ten deserves anything until they've earned it, just like the SEC. Nobody deserves anything to be handed to them. And it's why I've not been a fan of the 4422, your mom and her cousin and her friend Sally. I just think anytime you're giving a conference auto bids, that's bad for competitiveness. And I think the Big 12 and the ACC are being handed a gift with a 5'11 model. Absolutely. Joey B, Jake's recent shirt, salmon print, now purple. Is he a millennial getting married?
No, you don't appreciate the variety, dude? Like, you know, I try to change it up for you guys. I could just wear black every day.
Does it worry you that millennials are getting divorced a lot?
It doesn't worry me, and it certainly doesn't surprise me. You know, I mean, come on.
Ooh.
Come on.
That's going to be interesting. Johnny Gonzalez says big snooze kickoff. It's rough. It is rough. Cougar Track says the Monty Show is sponsored by Greg Sankey. Hey, he's in our pockets. You guys know that.
Well, and so is the Mountain West.
Well, Glory is in our pockets.
So
too,
we're starting a ledger where all the conferences are paying us. We just haven't publicly announced that yet. Yeah.
Alexis Diaz to the Dodgers is disgusting. It is so hard to be a Cub fan some days. It's fine. Auto bids should be earned every year. I think that you have to, I'm not. Okay. I think auto bids, I'm okay if you want to leave the auto bid for the conference championship game, as long as the loser's not punished.
Mm-hmm.
As long as that game is not weighted other than the winner of the conference championship game gets an auto bid to the playoff. Okay, I'm good with that. But if it's Alabama and Georgia, if it's Ohio State and USC, and the loser is eliminated from the college football playoff because of a December loss, that's some BS.
Yeah.
That's some BS. We can't do that. And I think that's a huge mistake. A huge mistake. Per dunk. Okay. I prefer per dome.
Okay.
I lost my mind when I saw the scheduling. Seriously.
Yeah, I just don't understand what's
What are
so
they
great
doing?
about it, dude. Like, what's the big deal?
I truly do not know. I do not know. And when we start looking, and there's always a lot of week one dogs. But when you get to like Saturday, August 30th, we should start seeing big games. Like, does anybody care about what's the biggest game of that week? Texas, Ohio State by far. How about that? What do you make of Ohio State not wanting to move game time? You were pretty.
I mean, yeah. So Ohio State wanted to move the game. Ohio State wanted to move the game to Sunday in prime time.
I thought Texas wanted to.
No, Ohio State wanted to move the game. Chris Del Conte said on Feinbaum yesterday that he jokingly said he had to go to church, but his real reason was they don't want to. His real reason was something to the effect of, why would we create a shorter week for ourselves? And, ultimately, it just doesn't make a lot of sense. And, Ohio State can try to move these games and do that, but ultimately, the game is, you can't have it both ways. You can't schedule, 3 years in advance, 2 years in advance, and have the game at noon or whenever it is, and then try to move it, 6 months before. Like, it just doesn't work.
Texas, Ohio State, or Florida, Alabama at Florida.
Texas, Ohio State. Yeah,
I would agree. Well, we've also got Marshall at Georgia.
Well, I mean, come on, dude.
I just hope at some point that I understand week 0, but we really need, like, I don't want TCU at North Carolina. Like, why do I care about that? Right? And if we get into week 2 and you start seeing like Oak State at Oregon doesn't move the needle. That is not.
No.
Baylor at SMU. I mean, in the Big 12, that's a big game. That's September 6th. That's a big game.
Here's the measurement, the mark these games have to live up to. Is it a game that I can flip around and still keep up with, or is it a game where I got to watch every play? And OSU, Oregon, is a game that I can flip around and check in on once a quarter. Like, not like, wouldn't be surprised if Oregon won that game by 14, 17 points. That's just not, it's just not that great of a game.
I really struggle with it. And I mean, I think obviously week 3 is when we all start playing real football, which is, hey, you know what? Great. It really bugs me that we get Oregon at Northwestern, that we get Oklahoma at Temple on ESPN. Like, why? Why? Who wants that? I want, like, week 3, Georgia, Tennessee, on ABC. That's the game I want, right? Like the Pitt at West Virginia. That's the game I want.
Mm-hmm.
I want the brawl. That's the game I want. But there's just not enough early season games to really light your fire. And yes, Florida, LSU. I think Florida is going to be dreadful.
Yeah. I think they will massively regret retaining Billy.
I think LSU will be significantly better. I think that's the same week that we get A&M and Notre Dame. But I'm very interested to see how all that plays out. And I really hope that we start seeing, as we get into the year, the games get better.
Well, think about last year. I mean, you had Georgia Tech and Florida State go overseas to Ireland and play that game, and that was the beginning of the end for Florida State. And
it really was
kicked off.
It really was
just in an iconic fashion. I mean, you know.
Notre Dame USC is a night game, and thank you. I rarely say nice things about Marcus. I can't count past 10 Freeman. Marcus Freeman today said what every one of us fine, broken Irish people tell you every single year. Notre Dame and USC should play every single season. Nothing to talk about. Nothing to talk about.
Notre Dame, our mother.
BYU and Utah, Oregon and Oregon State, Washington and Washington State.
Yes.
Should play every single year. USC and UCLA every single year. Like I just don't understand why now we're talking about, well, Notre Dame and USC, and this is the problem with not having a Super League.
Yes.
Because now that is a very dangerous game for USC. It's a very dangerous game.
Got to have it.
And it's exactly right. The Notre Dame game, whether you want it to be or not, SC fan, every year that Notre Dame and SC play, it's a must-win for SC. And I hope that we get it every year. And I'm really happy that Marcus Freeman today came out and said, hey, we want to see that game played every single year. Because I don't think there is, in anybody's universe, I don't think there's a way that you can legitimately make the argument that, and I don't care what the format is, 5'11", your mom and your sister,
Yeah,
I don't care.
802 and
right?
stuff.
I want to see rivalry games every single year. I want to see made-for-TV, pay-per-view, Pitt, West Virginia's. I want to see those games every single year. I should never have to wonder, hey, am I going to get Florida State and Miami? Am I going to get like that huge regional rivalry that determines people's seasons? That's what I want. Like, do you guys understand how close Utah was to ending BYU's season last year until certain things on the field, such as
no
in like
commenting,
right? I mean, that's what's really important.
Well, that's what we're here for as fans. You know, we want those big games. We want those moments. And, you know, some seasons will yield a lot of good games early. And then other seasons we're dead until like week 5 or 6. And those are the seasons I dread.
Yeah. SC should not be scheduling us no earlier than 3:30 Pacific time. Why USC, especially when they're at home, is playing afternoon games? I'll never understand it. And Pete Carroll and I have had this conversation 1,000 times, back to the good old KMPC Los Angeles days when USC went up to Washington State to die that year. You guys remember that? Played a Friday night game in a sleeting rain on the Palouse. And I just don't know how you can continue to play that game. And if USC, and it sucks that, like, I was looking at USC's schedule, and I say to myself, man, I just don't understand. And I know the money's good, and I know USC is a huge brand there. I think USC is one of the most important brands in all of college football. But you look at their schedule, they don't play a game of consequence until Notre Dame on October 18th. But look at their travel. At Purdue, at Illinois, at Notre Dame, at Nebraska on back-to-back weeks, and then at Oregon. Their road schedule this year is front-loaded, so their longer trips are Purdue, Illinois, and Nebraska, and then obviously Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And those are front-loaded. Look at the end of their schedule. They're Northwestern, Iowa, at Oregon, UCLA. They have a real chance to be an 8-9 win team this year because their biggest opponents, again, at Notre Dame is going to be a tough game. I think Nebraska is going to be significantly better with wannabe Mahomes under center this year.
Buddy.
I think Oregon is going to be a really tough game. That's it. UCLA is going to be mediocre. Iowa's not going to be a threat. Northwestern, Michigan sucks. Illinois, I think Illinois is a tough game. It's certainly not unwinnable. Champaign, if you guys have never been to Champaign, Illinois, Champaign-Urbana, it's not the easiest place to get to. So that's a bit of a hike, but I think USC, fight on Natties. USC had better win 8-9 games this year.
Big Ten needs him, bro.
Absolutely. Didn't Marshall beat Notre Dame a couple of years ago? Don't say hurtful things.
Why come into the comments section like that?
Don't say hurtful things.
You know,
I sifted through all that.
They did. Jeremiah Champion. Jeremiah is not a garbage truck driver in seedy Tampa town.
Dude, you had people believing that,
I
bro.
did have people believing that Jeremiah Champion drives a trash truck in the bad parts of Tampa.
And that he smells. But
Well,
that portion
he
is
does
true.
smell.
Yeah, I mean, he does work in a petri dish, so it's kind of,
Jeremiah Champion is an educator.
Yeah.
Where do you live, Jeremiah? Where are you from, dude? 10 more minutes in my first year as an English teacher is done. Let's go. Menace Parade. Let's go. Iowa State, another 6-3 barn burner.
Yeah, dude.
Iowa State needs to be good. Another really important team, I think. Joey B. Colorado pulled out of the Colorado State series. Won't play for 4 years. Ridiculous. Yeah.
Do you believe?
But again, why did they do that? Because Colorado State's not a quality opponent. It does not bolster their candidacy. And I think anymore, and I know talking to people around the Big 12, the edict is to schedule better. You have to play as many P4s as you can. And it's why BYU suffered for so many years. Was BYU considered a power win? No. Now, they still scheduled up and eventually earned their way in the Big 12. But it's why BYU had to schedule up.
Yeah.
Because they really struggled for credibility in the late season. And I think teams going to the Pac-12, like Boise's going to have to be undefeated almost every year. They're going to have a similar season to what they had last year. If you lose a game, it better be to Oregon and a nail-biter in Eugene.
Yeah, I mean, I think to be a no doubt about it for Boise State, you got to be undefeated with a Power 4 win. That's just what it is.
I think it's huge. Let's see. Horny James. Yes, Pitt, West Virginia, week 3 will be awesome. Yes, it will. Wasikowskinator, hello. Eric's a garbage man in the seedy parts of Tampa.
Yes.
Eric lives in, for those of you who don't know Eric, he lives in like a really run down apartment.
Because it's garbage.
When it rains, there's no roof on his apartment. So,
And kick a person when he's down.
I have no idea where he lives. He lives in the panhandle of Florida, I think you said, right, Eric? Notre Dame, Michigan should be every year as well. It should be, but
yeah, but Notre Dame can't be seen to do business with whatever it is Michigan's accused of.
Well, you're a Catholic university. You can't be seen with the satanic worshiping. That's probably too far. The scumbag cheating losers at Michigan. You can't be seen.
Just saying.
I love all the Michigan fans who are like, "Oh, Notre Dame's the one that killed it." Okay.
Keep lying to yourself, bro.
Damian Bolden, I'm intrigued by Colorado, Georgia Tech. Tech might be ranked in the top 25. They had a good start last year, right? They did. UCF, USF every year. Okay. Woodworth, need Kansas, Mizzou every year. You do. I agree, but that's not going to happen. Stop. Dude, I'm not having the merits of, again, what do you know about Oak State? You're a TCU fan. Damian Bolden, Colorado, Nebraska, and old Big 8 matchup. Oh, yeah. The fans hate each other. That game should be every year. Nebraska should have never left this conference. You know. Big Daddy Magic.
Hey, player, if Victor Wembanyamama was on top of the CFP committee, the University of Southeastern Tennessee Christian would be winning the college football playoff with Victor at the helm.
I think we all know that VW, Victor put it in your mama, is...
Victor put it in your mama.
What? Isn't that how you pronounce his name?
Bro.
Victor's the way.
What? I'm talking basketball now. Good to see you, Big Daddy Magic. Capazzo, USC doesn't hold a candle to the sleeping giant Utah Tech.
Well,
I agree. Midweek Coug, poor USC, so mistreated, will never feel bad for them. I know you won't. Nobody in the Great Northwest will feel bad for them. You know. Gumby,
said it.
Jeremiah, the Sullivan of champions. Exactly right.
Right.
Exactly right.
The Sullivan of champions. No, Jeremiah's a teacher, dude. He's doing his thing. You know?
Did you guys ever eat lunch late and fast? And then it's just like stuck in the bottom of your throat? Jake's aware of that.
Ow!
Jeremiah, the Sullivan of champions. Horny James, I hope that UCLA does better with their new QB.
Iamaliava.
It would be cool if he goes back to Cali and makes UCLA relevant again. Why would that be cool? Nobody cares about UCLA football. They play in an absolute crap hole of a
James,
stadium.
who is the team you're a fan of that people actually care about?
It's an interesting point.
I mean, with all due respect.
I mean, the DF Dub's pretty good. I mean, TCU, that's his.
With all due respect.
Yeah, we need to stop joking about James. He gets upset.
All due respect.
James is a TCU fan through and through. Always has been. Always will never be.
No.
You know, like, I mean, he is. James is. That's why we call him Horny James on the show. He loves his Horned Frogs. Licks
Yes,
him,
yes, yes.
licks him every night. Johnny Gonzalez. What?
Oh my God, just like that.
Yeah, you lick a horned frog for luck.
You know, Preston Stone.
You know, I heard Dana Holgerson wants the Oak State job after Mullet gets carried off in handcuffs from the Stillwater athletic offices. I don't know. Kay Sumbry, our resident Oak State expert, he's got friends. Kay Sumbry, it's really cool. Kay Sumbry's got friends who are sideline reporters at Oak State. So he has dialed inside information.
Program.
Oak State James the other day tried to tell us I have inside information. My sources. And then he like goes parentheses. By the way, my sources are a sideline reporter who I've been friends with since '67.
Facial recognition.
You know, back in Tulsa when we were driving Model Ts.
James.
He tried to go sources and then says sideline reporter who I've been friends with for, I think he said 78 years. Johnny, I'd take Dana Holgerson at Oak State. That's a good idea. It is? Okay. This is why you're average. I'm from Lubbock, Texas, boy.
Hey,
boy. And live in Pueblo, Colorado, but work in Rockyford, Colorado. Okay.
Colorado.
I like it. Damian Fowler, please no Iowa talk. I'm already dreading this upcoming season. Please leave Kirk Ferentz. He's probably overstayed his welcome. You know. Notre Dame versus Michigan, Catholic convicts version 2. Well, Catholic cheating liars. You know, it's fine. Dana is a head coach and Knowles is a DC at Oak State. That would be awesome. Well, as a TCU fan, I'm sure I understand why you say that.
Yeah, I mean, any team that can suck more than TCU does, that's a good thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say 2 words about that. Let's see. But Todd Monken would be my top pick to replace Mike Gundy. Well, again, as a TCU homer, I can see why you would want all of these sub-ass, broken-ass average coaches coaching
And that's
Oak
how
State.
I look at it.
Keep them down. Gundy will stomp the Ducks. Okay, you want to put some ducats on that?
We're in a control position.
You want to bet some caffeine-free Coke? I mean, I'm down. Fight on Natties. The amount of hate that USC gets from across the nation, you think we were involved with human trafficking?
No, I just think you're involved in losing way too many football games by like 3 points and then saying you're a big-time program.
How did you lose the Penn State game?
Any questions?
How?
I mean, I know that
How does
tackling
that happen?
is a really complex thought process, and you know your defender tackling the ball carrier is a really difficult thing.
You might want to cover the tight end. It's a tight end at Pet OU. You think Penn State features the tight end? Okay, I'm going to move on. Okay. Norge Coog, amazing how UCLA's attendance has tanked the last 5 years. Well, you're irrelevant, is what it comes down to. College football 26, Wasikowskinada.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go 5'11. I agree.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. David Persons, a newest member.
Yeah. Hey, David P.
Welcome back to the membership, DP. Appreciate you. Another horny frog, David Persons. Loves him some TCU. You know, where is Boss Frog at?
I don't know.
We haven't seen our guy in a long time. Jeff Woodworth. There's no tight ends at Pet OU. I don't know what that's a reference to.
You want to explain that?
No, please don't. Mike Smith. Mike, good to see you. Most in the East do not care about USC one way or the other. I would agree with that. I would tend to agree with that. I do. Yeah. But it is what it is. If you're just tuning into the show, where do you guys come down on how important strength of schedule should be in determining the college football playoff? Hit the like button. If you're watching on X, good to see you. Appreciate everybody on the old X machine. Our show has really taken off on X. We appreciate that. Come on over to YouTube. Just Google search The Monty Show. The Monty Show.
Yeah, not the Jake Show, the Monty Show.
Not the purple shirted geek.
Dude, I thought you guys would like the purple shirt. You know, I was standing in my closet and I'm like, what color?
Here's a shocker. Jake's in the closet.
Yeah, you know, what color?
The cack.
You know, can I pick out today that'll really get people's attention? And I felt like, you know, I hadn't worn purple in a while. So, you know, I mean, I thought purple was better than, you know, the salmon color, but maybe I was wrong.
Salmon. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what I would say about it. I don't know if I would. I can't even wear a blue shirt on this show without being a fat, dead old Mormon. So,
well, that's why I have to represent, you know.
Where do you come down on strength of schedule? How important is it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's important. I think that in college football, you have to have, you know, the process has to have a universal metric for everybody to work off of. You know, that's the biggest problem is right now people are doing schedules. They're running their programs, you know, based off of different things. And then at the end of the year, when someone gets left out, they're pissed about it because they don't know, you know, what the metric is. And you hear commissioners all the time talk about like, hey, I need to know from the committee, you know, what the selection process is, what they weigh heavier than others, you know, what are the more important factors. And I think that's the biggest reason as to why strength of schedule should matter more, because if you're playing a more difficult strength of schedule, but you only have 9 wins, that should be akin to a team playing an easy schedule with double-digit wins. You know, I think we have to be able to have that conversation.
I would agree.
As fans and as observers of the game. And this is why I say all the people criticizing Greg Sankey for suggesting that, hey, well, let's just do 5-11, conference champions get in. And, you know, at that point, then, you know, we can have a standard formula for the 11 at-larges. I think that's reasonable. I think it's proper. I think it you know, puts people in a position where they can say, okay, cool. If we win this game, we should get in, you know. But I do also agree that the selection committee concept is riddled with corruption. We know it is. We've seen it play out. Like, it's not a secret. And I can only imagine what the NFL would be like if they had a committee choosing the playoff teams. Can you imagine? I mean, we're already saying that Kansas City is not a Super Bowl worthy team and they're not good and the refs help them get there. Like, imagine what it would be if we had a committee in the NFL. Like, people would be outraged.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying, like, there has to be a central, you know, formula. A plus B equals you're in or you're out. Like, that has to happen. And I think strength of schedule should be at the heart of that.
I think strength of schedule should be the ultimate hammer. Your win-and-loss record. I pointed Indiana. Indiana had no business being one of the 12 best teams in the country last year. At no point, at no time, was Indiana one of the 12 best teams in the country.
I win. Google me.
That was never the case. SMU was never at any time one of the 12 best teams in the country. Boise State was never at any time one of the 12 best teams in the country. And we start looking at, and I showed the graphic yesterday that I'll show again. This is probably what it should have looked like. But I look at Indiana and Boise. Boise's there because of the G5.
Right.
That's it. They were gifted a spot. But when I look at Notre Dame, was Notre Dame the 5th best team in the country last year? Nah, I don't think so. Does Notre Dame get to the national championship if they got to go through Miami, Arizona, and Arizona State? Probably not. Right? Does Ohio State get to the championship if they got to go through Texas, Ole Miss, and Alabama? Probably not. Right? Tennessee, does Tennessee go further if they didn't get hosed by jerky, no moral loser athletic director at Michigan if they wind up with Tennessee and SMU on Rocky Top, I'm going to say Tennessee would have won a playoff game last year.
Right.
Right. I think it matters. I think it absolutely matters. And at some point, and I know this comes back to why so many people hate strength of schedule, it's because the SEC has the hammer. You look at the strength of schedule numbers last year, the top 10, 6 of them are SEC teams. And it's awfully difficult to get away from that. Does that mean that those were the 6 best teams in the country? Certainly not. But does it give more credence to Georgia and Ohio State? Yeah, it does. Does it help Notre Dame? Yeah, it does. Does it help Texas? Yeah, it does. It absolutely does. I just don't know why. And I do know why it didn't matter last year because, again, ass face at Michigan, doing what he did, absolutely defrauding college football, in my opinion. You have to have a straight up A plus B equals you get into the college football playoff.
And I think in a perfect world, that's decided on the football field.
I would agree with that.
That's, you won or you lost.
100%.
But again, I just think that people aren't appreciating enough how quickly this is moving. Like we went from last week. We went last week. We were talking about a Super League and how soon that would happen and just kind of talking through that. And now Greg Sankey's pushing for making the committee not a thing anymore and making it where it's decided on the field and like this is moving. This is fluid. This is active, which is why you're hearing them talk so much.
Yeah. We'll see. I just don't think this is complicated. And I really like what Greg Sankey said about compromising and not compromising. Compromise is not how business gets done.
No.
If people don't like it, but compromise is not how business gets done. And you listen to Brett Yormark talk about how much he embraces a 5'11". Listen to what he says about winning games.
Well, first and foremost, I like 16. More access is better for the Big 12 for sure. But I'm also about fairness. And there's been a lot of conversations out there about AQs. And, from where I sit, and I know I speak on behalf of our coaches and our ADs, we want to earn it on the field. And I'm adamant about that. And I think a 5+11 format does that. It's fair. It's what our fans want. And they don't want an invitational. They want a true playoff system. And we have that right now. I thought last year going to a 12-team format was fantastic. It played out exactly how people had hoped. It was very dramatic. It created a lot of interest. Going to 16, I think, does more of that. But I think we need to put these multiple AQs, take it out of the conversation and focus on what's right for college football. And I think 5+11 does that, and that's our preference.
I think that's a lot of people's preference. Yes, it should be. Because I just don't think that you can, I don't think that you can continue to sit here and have questions about integrity. I think it's really, really important that, again, everybody comes together and I guess just because he's the hammer, anytime Greg Sankey's talking about strength of schedule, I'm listening.
Whether people want to agree with it or not, that's up to them. We can go through the analytics and show the rigor of our schedule is different than anyone else's, period. And we had a learning session in September at the CFP about strength of schedule, and strength of schedule isn't everything, but it is an important factor. I remember very clearly one of the messages was, if you play the top-ranked team and the 130th ranked team, those two games average out to 65.5. If you play 65 and 66, they average out to 65.5. And so the advisor said, you're just as well playing 65 and 66. Here's my problem. But for maybe two teams in a year, we don't have 65 or 66, and everybody else has a group.
You have a group, we've got a couple. It's a big difference. Mike Smith, strength of grip is more important.
Dude, no question about it, dude.
Stay hard.
It's got to be rock hard, bro. It just has to be.
You could have done without
it has to be, dude.
Gundy is a better man than some others. Yeah, I'm probably not. Stadium guy, Oak State, I lick horny frogs. Come on down to Fort Worth. We can get something from a food truck.
Bro, did you just call Monty fat?
No, that's why you have colitis. Well, the stress of your divorce, I'm sure. In all seriousness, I hope that's going well. And then go watch the frogs kick butt. Trust me, you'll have a blast.
Okay.
And you and Jake, you guys can do whatever you want. Watch the game from the hotel room.
Boy.
Strength of schedule is important, but the motion of the ocean means more.
I mean, there's no question about it, dude. Motion of the ocean is definitely the 21 times a month. We all gotta get that done.
Nacho Libre. Quite literally, I cannot click on your. He says lavender looks good on you.
Oh, lavender. Okay, I like that. Okay, lavender.
Okay, Cougar Tracks. Will BYU get to the national championship game without a quarterback?
Don't play intramurals, brother.
We have debated for 3 days now if we should talk about Jake Retzloff. And because there is a growing debate in the BYU football community. And it's one of the things that fascinates me about BYU fan who is an LDS member.
Right.
A member of the Latter-day Saints of Jesus Christ. Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. You guys will murder your neighbor over an argument over a fence in a yard.
Yes.
You guys will ostracize people for not tithing.
He's a bum.
But you guys have a football player accused of sexual assault, and you're like, hey, man, he's innocent.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
Honor code.
What?
It's not like he drank a caffeinated beverage. We're talking about lies.
There's some wild shit going on right
now. He's accused of reaching for a condom and sexually assaulting a woman. She'll say anything to get money.
Which is, just kind of weird.
Right? Like, it's crazy to me that BYU fan, who are some of the most devout Christians I've ever met.
Do you know what that's like these days?
They're like, oh, dude.
Monty.
Look here, Monty.
Well, Monty.
I can't drive a car on Sunday. And I'm sure as hell not going to Costco on a Sunday. But Jake Retzloff reaching for that condom, I don't know if that happened.
That doesn't meet the criteria to, ostracize good old Jake.
And as far as I'm concerned, he wasn't reaching for a rubber or a Jimmy. He was reaching for the good book to learn this woman about the chaste lifestyle he was abiding in. And she was so upset that it was a book and not a rubber that she threw herself on the floor. And that's where those bruises came from, boy.
Sorry, folks. That's what it is.
It's remarkable that BYU fan, who is such a devout Christian, will be like, oh, it's fine. Condom.
Come on.
And I'd remind you, condom schmondom. He's a Jew, and he doesn't have to worry about that. Hey, the honor code says it doesn't matter his denomination. He's just, yeah, but honor code, schmonor code. We all know.
That's it, Skippy.
The excuse is being made
now
by devout
a Utah
BYU fan.
Player.
And that's why he's up on the hill, because he's up there doing all of these hellacious satanic movements while he is trying to hover over that woman's genitalia.
Here I am.
Macaque.
That's quite literally the way it's delivered. Jake is a nice young boy. Did you hear about that guy up at Utah? That scumbag. That's no wonder he's up there getting that easy education. It's always, that's why they didn't go to BYU. Oh, and that's that easy education up at Utah.
You're a homer is the first part.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
It's real.
Which is fine.
Real.
It is what it is. David Persons for $2. Do you think I'm a man? Gundy goes with a bad year. I'm a man. I think he's out if they have another bad year.
What's a bad year?
I don't think, in the Garden variety, my head's in the sand, Todd Monken would be an incredible hire.
3/4 this is inaccurate.
The Oak State fan will have Ollie Gordon running stairs instead of missing games when he got that, DUI.
That's cute. I remember when I had my first beer.
That's the fan that'll tell you, oh, he's just got to go to a bowl game, Monty.
Monty?
The dynasty is not over.
If he doesn't go to the college football playoff, how do you keep Mike Gundy?
No idea.
It's 16 teams. You're not one of the 16 best teams in the country at Oak State?
No.
We need Case Summer to come back in here so we can have somebody who understands the culture at Oak State.
Yeah.
Who's a real fan.
Right.
The way that Horny James is a TCU fan. We need somebody to come in here that's an Oak State fan.
Yeah.
Okay. Brett has proven he's down a big. Brett has proven he down a big dog.
What does that mean?
Were you on that boat with Stephon Diggs? Did you get that purple dust? Is that?
Excuse me.
What's that?
It's pink.
Did you get that? Did you get that lavender dust from Stephon?
Crying
Diggs?
like a little girl.
Is that what happened here?
Speaking of motion in the ocean.
San Antonio Brahma bullpen.
Who the fuck are you?
SEC has a point about strength of schedule. Yes, they do. Phil Venzer says, screw you, Fight On.
Oh, well.
Because Fight On said G5 schools have no effing business competing for the college football playoff with P2.
I mean, not wrong, bro. He not wrong, bro. He not wrong. Man.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, he not wrong.
Danny Kiger.
Kiger.
The only times Oak State James has a real blast is all over the interior of his Honda Civic.
Stay hard.
Okay. Jeff Woodruff, Retzloff transferring to Michigan where all is forgiven. You can do what he did at Michigan, allegedly.
Just make sure it's on a computer, not in real life,
I really hope that Jake Retzloff goes through the legal process and is found innocent. And really what it is found not to be responsible. But that's very unlikely to happen. You don't play football or attend BYU when you're accused of what he's accused of.
Yeah.
I think there are holes all over the place in this story. I have real trouble believing that Jake Retzloff that we came to know on a surface level is doing the things that he's being accused of, but you don't really know a guy. But that doesn't matter at BYU. There's an honor code. There's a lifestyle. And
it's true.
When you're accused of reaching for a condom and then savagely sexually assaulting somebody, that doesn't meet the bar at BYU.
Y'all feel me?
Does not meet. There is no such thing as innocent until proven guilty.
No.
There isn't. Cougar Tracks, it's all Brother Monty, all is well. It is. Eric, at least he thought of protection first, allegedly. Jake R. did not have relations with that woman. He just soaked it in.
Wow. Wow, dude.
But no earthquaking. No earthquaking. I'm telling you guys now that it is...
it's a nasty situation.
It is not something to joke about. And I think when we're talking about the brass tacks of that story, I just am struggling to put two and two together based on the evidence we've seen.
Yep. And
clearly we have not seen everything. I think there are so many unknowns. I'm not ready to do that. I'm really not. I wonder if the Provo PD sent that report to Utah County Attorney's Office for review. If they did and nothing came of it, then this lawsuit is nothing but a money grab. Well, I think it's a money grab anyway. Why didn't you go criminal with it? Well, because as the Provo Police Department said, there was no actionable evidence. And you can win a civil case on he said, she said. It is a much, much lower bar. You can win, you can win a civil case.
Yeah.
I may have misspoke there.
No, you didn't. You got it right.
You can win a civil case on he said, she said. There's a much, much, much higher bar in the court of law when it's a criminal action and the burden of proof actually matters. That's very difficult to
I guess it comes down to what Jake's philosophy is on it. Obviously he's got a legal team and, they will do whatever, they kind of come to with him. But I
want to hear from Jake Retzlaff.
Yeah, I'm, we haven't talked about it in the last few days, but I would agree. I'm a little bit tired of not hearing from Jake on this. I want a statement. Preferably it'd be something on video in a professional setting where he talks about it. Because again, you talk about the court of public opinion. Well, in my opinion, the best way to fight the court of public opinion is to define what that opinion is. Hey, yeah, you're done at BYU either way. I mean, I think we can all agree on that. You were in the room with her. Nobody disputes that. I think that your time.
Well, we don't know if he disputes that because we haven't heard from him.
Yeah.
Maybe she was never there. Maybe this never happened. Well, I wouldn't know that because we haven't heard from Jake. But when you sign an honor code at BYU, it is that you will live a virtuous, chaste lifestyle.
Yeah.
I have seen the honor code. It quite literally says you will live a chaste lifestyle. You will not have sex outside of marriage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I'm not sure how you get away from that on this, unless he is completely denying that they ever had sex.
Yeah. The only way out is that if this is fully fabricated, this never happened, or they never had sex, or whatever.
And I would remind you, at BYU, you are not allowed to have members of the opposite sex in your dorm room or dwelling, and certainly not alone.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough to get away from, man. It's going to be very difficult. I just am not.
So my point is, if, again, we only have one side of the story. I agree with that. But if I would be a little surprised personally if just the entire story is fabricated. I mean, the story claims that multiple teammates were there. Okay. I think the gray area comes in when they were alone and the accusations. And so my point just is if the odds are that you're likely done at BYU and you want to help yourself here, my opinion is that you should come out and you should talk about it and you should make your stance very public and very well known.
Yeah. Johnny Gonzalez, Tazin is human.
How?
If Jake Retzlaff had been accused of packing certain areas of his body, maybe then it's okay. He could be on the team.
Human or non-human?
But no. Big Daddy Magic, he will have his day in court, the truth to come out. And this Amy chick is going to get what she deserves. I promise you that. I don't know what she deserves because I don't know what's going to happen at the end of the day. I'm not presuming Jake is guilty or innocent because I don't know. I do not know if he is guilty or innocent. Now, is Stefan Diggs guilty or innocent? Well, I mean, I think we probably know.
Okay, is a hell of a drug.
Alleged. So do you guys know this story? That's New England Patriot Stefan Diggs, who is recovering from a knee injury and not at voluntary offseason workouts in Foxborough. Notice I said voluntary.
Uh-huh.
Is the stuff in the pink bag cocaine? That is the real question. Notice they're calling him Daddy, by the way. Now here comes the pink substance right there. That pink powder is alleged by some to be an illegal illicit. Do you believe it is?
Don't have proof. Don't have evidence.
Oh my God! You sat here yesterday
I think
wearing.
it is.
You sat here yesterday wearing a judge's robe, pounding a gavel that he's a terrible person who should be banned from the NFL for life.
I never said that. You're gonna sit here and say that this guy's an incredible receiver and he deserves the benefit of the doubt and yada yada.
No. I don't think it has anything to do with him being an incredible receiver.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Make your case.
I don't think it has anything to do with him being a great receiver. I've never believed that. Your personal actions when you're on a boat with a bunch of hotties, including Cardi B, who is his girlfriend, who's not in that shot, by the way, which everybody had more of an issue with than what was the pink stuff, which is different pink stuff.
Right.
But anyway.
Right.
I just don't think we should be accusing guys of using illegal illicit drugs because something pink is in a pouch that he handed to a woman.
Yeah, and I'm just on the complete other end of it. Stephon Diggs is somebody who is on a new team, and while they're voluntary workouts,
and he's injured,
which makes it worse in my opinion.
It does make it worse.
He should be at the facility. He should be rehabbing every day. He should be working every day.
I agree.
To get back. We shouldn't be getting videos of you in boats and hose mode, having a little bit of fun. That's not what you should be doing.
And hose
That
mode.
is not what you should be doing.
How
And
much of this is jealousy from you?
It's not jealousy at all. I don't want to do cocaine, and I certainly don't want to be on a boat. When
I don't
should
want
be
a
at the
bunch
office.
of hot chicks dancing around me.
Like,
what? Calling me daddy?
Like it bothers me that we don't just tell it how it is with stuff like this with football players.
I'm not willing. I am not willing to say that whatever it is in that pouch is illegal drugs. I'm not willing to do that. That is a very serious allegation, and I have no reason to believe it is or it is not. If that was you, and let's just say, I don't know what that Himalayan pink salt. He was asking her to go make kebabs. And he's like, here, I have some Himalayan pink salt. And everybody was saying to you, oh, that's cocaine. You wouldn't be happy with that. We have no idea what that, I don't believe it's Himalayan pink salt, by the way. My point is, we have no reason to believe that that's cocaine.
How about this? Okay, let's say it's not cocaine. Let's say it's not an illegal substance.
Mm-hmm.
Stephon, bro, and you're going to hear Mike Vrabel essentially do this. You shouldn't be on a boat, and you shouldn't be putting the optics out that you're on a boat with women who are not your girlfriend and having the appearance of handing out drugs.
Boy, it pisses you off that they were not Cardi B.
No,
that's the other thing that you just were roiled about.
Bro, it just adds to it. Like you're not doing what you should be doing. It's not the off season anymore, bro. You have a bum knee. You should be in the facility, and you're on a new team.
Okay, I personally do not care how many women he's got. If him and Cardi B, she's on the boat, I'm going to say that she's aware.
Right, but I don't care if she's aware or not. It's about the optics of the video.
I agree with that.
It's the optics of the video, dude. I don't care if she likes it or hates it.
But you're like, well, a bunch of women. He's on a boat with hose
what
and
are we
drugs,
doing, dude?
When he should be in Foxborough getting ready.
Like, I don't know how you don't see this as a problem.
I think it is a problem because OTAs are going on. If this was July and you want to go full on boats and hose mode, do you, bro?
Great.
The problem is that people don't agree with that, including your head coach.
Traction in the last 24 hours or so. He's on a boat having a good time, but the question comes in as to a certain substance that people are guessing what is and isn't. Is this something that the team has to look into?
Well, it's something that we're aware of, and obviously we want to make great decisions on and off the field, and we're hoping that with our time here on the field today, and that when we don't have a script and we're on the call-up periods, that we're making great decisions. And so the message will be the same for all our players, that we're trying to make great decisions, and any conversations that I've had with Stephon will remain between him and I and the club.
Have you talked to him since the video?
I talk to our players every single day, the ones that are here and the ones that aren't.
Are you expecting him to practice today, Mike?
Not if he's not here.
so he's not here.
You guys will find out in a minute.
We're really focused on Philadelphia right now.
Hey, Mike, you think he's going to practice? Not unless it's on that boat, sir. Well, from what I understand, he's running deep routes with the hose.
Saying, dude.
Do you expect him to practice? No, asshole. He's on a boat.
It's a fair question. Fair question.
Oh, my God. This is a
don't-
bad look for Diggs and the Patriots. That's what I'll say. But Mike Vrabel's a beaut, dude.
Yeah, I mean, just a wonderful job handling it. But I don't know, dude. I guess, and maybe Aaron Rodgers deserves credit for this. I don't know. But I'm just sick and tired of athletes not doing what they should be doing. You want to go out, listen, if you want to go out and be an awful human being off the field, but you've done everything you need to do in a professional capacity, cool. More power to you. Go be an asshole. Go be a terrible human. That's great, dude. I'm not saying Stefan is. I'm saying generally speaking. Generally speaking. You
Just
go
because
out,
he's on a boat with hose does not make him an
I
asshole.
didn't say he was. You're taking that leap. I'm saying generally with
said,
athletes.
I said what I said.
Yeah,
you
people are
interpreted.
people are misinterpreting what I'm saying. Dude. Like, this is not complicated, bro. But I am sick and tired of Buddy the athlete who is super rich and has one job in life.
Walking around with Himalayan pink salt.
Yeah, that's what we're going to call it. Us non-rich white guys who do a show. You know, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt, apparently.
Oh, my God.
But the reality is, dude, I shouldn't be seeing you on a boat right now. I should be seeing you lifting weights and rehabbing and doing what you can do on the field.
Most of all, we shouldn't be hearing your name.
Yeah.
We shouldn't be seeing you do anything. He's got I believe he tore his ACL or whatever it was in October. So backwoods Mike Smith, it was Spanish fly in powder form, clearly.
Yeah, you know.
Clearly. Capazzo says, come on, Jake, what's wrong with boats and hose?
Nothing's wrong with it when you don't have a bum knee.
Eric says, don't slander pink salt. My bad. Danny Kiger, pink sprinkles for ice cream cones, boys. That's what I'm saying. Who doesn't want sprinkles on their ice cream cone?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that baggie was full of Fun Dip. Someone just dropped the lick it stick on the floor. Okay?
Right.
Okay. You know, I think it's a bad look because he is not at practice. We get so far into, and this is a Trevor Bauer story. Well, he's not on a major league team because we don't like sexual deviation. And if you're on a boat like Diggs and you've got multiple women who appear to be at your beck and call, that's a problem because it's not what we view as normal.
Now, see, and I just disagree. Like, I think that's part of it, but I think it's more of a problem because you're injured. You didn't have some amazing year last year. Like, if a player, you know, went out and had some ridiculous year, a 1,500-yard year, and, you know, you were just an absolute unit in the playoffs for your team last year, and, you know, it wasn't year one with a new team, and, you know, like, there's clearly business that you should be attending to right now. This is not go and just forget about it for a week when voluntary OTAs happen to be that same week. Couldn't wait a week.
Just happened to be there.
Like, come on, bro. It's just not a good look. And yes, I think when quarterbacks do this, it's even worse because you're supposed to be a leader of a team, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're supposed to be the guy
a quarterback
that's leading the
for
team,
sure.
You know, like
a quarterback for sure. Aaron Wilson, who's been a member of the show for 26
out of the blue.
Howdy, y'all. Cody Campbell going to run college football.
I guess.
Crack 'em. We'll find out. John Famlor, you two realized just a few weeks ago, two fairly famous world leaders had a photo analyzed for white powder. Hey.
And what's your point?
Could be.
What does that have anything to do with
Neither one of them
Diggs?
was Diggs, you know. Our loaner phone. Jake, are you calling him a slacker, poor work ethic? Give it a rest.
Well,
I don't even think it's poor work ethic. I think he should be rehabbing his knee. They signed him to a free agent contract knowing he had a bad knee. He should reward them for that.
Yeah.
You know, Lavender making Jake all pissy and player hating. I agree. It's the shirt. Why don't you just go topless?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. I mean, I gave you an out. You know, which is fine. Guys need longer recovery time than 3 months. Who said he's only had 3 months? It's June, bruh. He's had 10 months. What are you talking about?
Let's say the ACL is 100%.
Okie Light, great point. Isn't this physical therapy? I mean, listen, you be the judge. I mean, this looks like physical therapy to me. Daddy.
Hey, man, that's great. He's a baller, dude.
Hey, Daddy. And the funny thing is, he's got all these chicks, and now he's got the Himalayan pink. Oh, and Cardi B is nowhere in this video. He is dating Cardi B. Like, it is the wildest. It's that, and I always come back to this point. We'll never understand it. We will never understand it. Ever. Bangkok. Hey, you do what you need to do, man. You know, we'll never understand it. People who take Fridays off calling others slackers. I don't know where you call it.
Here's the difference, dude. Here, let me make you look silly since you want to come in here and be an asshole about it. Here's the problem. I'm not the one getting paid millions of dollars to play football, and I signed a contract in good faith to repair my knee to go out and be the #1 wide receiver for a sophomore quarterback for the New England Patriots.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Now, that's not me. I'm the one that owns my own business and can decide when I work. And I didn't sign a contract with Buddy, who got in trouble at a massage parlor.
With Buddy.
Nice try, though, Eric.
That one girl putting a strain on those bikini straps,
Agreed.
I don't have that much issue with it. He should have been at OTAs because he's hurt. And had he not been hurt,
if he had not been hurt and he had an all-time or one of the best seasons of his career last year, no problem, no complaints. If you weren't on a new team, no complaints. Because again, for veterans, what is OTAs? He doesn't need to go to OTAs for the reps, dude. That's not the point. The point is you go to OTAs as a veteran on a new team so that you can form relationships, get to know your guys, get ahead of that process a little bit, get comfortable in the new facility, build your brand with the organization a little bit. That's all it is. It's just a networking, get to know your guys type thing. Like, you're out on a football field for 3 days or whatever. Like, it's not a huge deal. But it's a premise issue. So, yeah, we're paying you millions. You're 10 months or whatever it's been. I'd have to look the exact date that he tore his ACL. I remember the play. But you're 10 months or whatever you are past the injury and surgery. And even if his knee was 100%, I would still have the same opinion because you're on a new team. If he was still a Buffalo Bill and just repairing his ACL, no big deal. Josh Allen, established team, he doesn't need to be at OTA. It's not a problem. It's not a big deal, dude.
Yeah. And it's the same reason I say, like, Kirk Cousins isn't at Atlanta Falcons OTAs.
Yeah.
They're going to trade Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
Here in 3 days, when it's June 1st, they're going to trade Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and look at Kirk Cousins' story with Atlanta, right? Like, he went in there thinking he was going to be QB1. They draft Penix. He didn't play great last year.
Big Penix energy.
Yeah, big Penix energy. Another left-handed quarterback with the first name Michael that everyone's worried about.
Then Jake sends me a gift today of a dog with a freaked out look on his face because another left-handed quarterback named Michael has all the dogs fearing for their lives in Atlanta.
Yeah, people are making jokes, dude.
Do you regret that?
No.
No, I actually thought it was
I thought it was hilarious.
I laughed at it,
yeah.
In fact. But, and then there's old man Terry Bradshaw. Do you guys care what Terry Bradshaw says? I want to, but I really don't.
Possibly Aaron Rodgers being the quarterback. That's a joke. He shouldn't. That is just, to me, is a joke. What are you going to bring him in for 1 year? Are you kidding me? I mean,
that's not the Steelers' way, right?
No, man. That guy needs to stay in California and go, somewhere and chew on bark and whisper to the gods out there.
100%. These guys on the show, Mr. Bradshaw, know I'm not a fan of his. We've been around each other personally, and he was not a kind person.
Now he does not. I had to go over and introduce myself to him. He's not. I had to go. Hey, Aaron. I'm Terry Bradshaw. I know he knows me, but I just felt like I better tell him who I am. Yeah. And not, you walk in there and you get in his presence and you feel like it's going to start snowing.
Terry MFing Bradshaw. First of all, football does bad things to you.
Totally agree. Yes.
What are you doing?
Yes.
Aaron Rodgers, and are you ready to give me my Aaron Rodgers flowers before we talk about the Knicks and my domination?
What flowers would you like on Aaron Rodgers?
That he's going to sign with the Steelers. How much of a meltdown are you going to have? Will you put on a black polo shirt that day?
I would ask you the same thing when they don't even make it to the AFC Championship game.
Well, I mean, if you don't sign Aaron Rodgers, I mean, that's going to happen.
Right.
But if you do sign Aaron Rodgers and you win a Super Bowl, you will. How bad of a day would it be if the Pittsburgh Steelers traded for Stephon Diggs and then with Aaron Rodgers as their quarterback won a Super Bowl, Jake?
Yeah, we're gonna have to call Comcast. Yeah, I mean, the internet's gonna be out that day. I mean,
You're such a hater. I think Aaron Rodgers is signing with the Steelers, and Terry Bradshaw ripping him is not probably the best way to go.
I think that, yeah, I would agree. Nobody cares what Terry Bradshaw has to say generally, but when it comes to the Steelers, obviously a Steeler legend, it'd be nice to have his ringing endorsement just because. Not that they need it, not that Aaron needs it, but just because. And this is not great. I think that, Aaron, in my opinion, at some point, probably is going to need to come out and talk about. Whoa. I hope someone asks him, but it would be good if he talked about his decision-making process and why he wanted to play for the Steelers,
or why it took so long.
Yeah, or why it took so long, and I think that there was a point made. I can't remember who said it, but. And again, I'm not faulting Aaron for this, just so we're all clear. But Aaron is the only potential starting quarterback in the league who isn't already with his team and at OTAs going through that process, right? Where you're like, hey, again, new quarterback, free agent quarterback with his guys not going through it yet. And so I don't know. It's going to be really interesting, man. You guys know where I'm at on Aaron Rodgers. If it's a post-June 1st thing, which you've been dying on that hill, it seems like that's the case. If next week he signs after June 1st comes and goes, great. I don't blame Aaron for that. I don't blame the Steelers for that. That's, if that's the process you want to go with, great. But what I'm telling you is that I will not have you don't get to have it both ways with Aaron Rodgers. They either did or they didn't. You either signed him and in my opinion, the bar should not be the Super Bowl. It should be the AFC Championship game because I think getting to the Super Bowl is incredibly difficult already. And you're asking him to come into a new team. And just if we're being honest, we take the emotions out of it. That's a difficult thing to do. So I would say the AFC Championship game. That's
not good enough for Aaron Rodgers.
Well,
Aaron has to win another Super Bowl, in my opinion.
Yeah, well.
So
you either did or you didn't. And my point is that Aaron Rodgers has to fix this narrative and opinion, which I share, of you don't do good things for teammates and organizations. You're not that guy that everyone likes. And if we just ignore all the stuff off the field,
Danica Patrick,
the ladies and all that, we ignore all that.
His family hates him.
Yeah, like if we ignore all that, you're still not the guy that everybody likes. And
you're
all
not
this,
that guy, pal.
Yeah, you're not that guy, pal. And all this crap with Joe Rogan and these different podcasts you've been doing, and Pat,
aliens,
and aliens, and talking about AIDS and all this stuff. Like, dude,
Aaron Rodgers said that the government invented HIV.
Stop talking about this stuff, please.
Yeah. Who do you think you are, Rafael Rodriguez, the newest member of the Monty Show? Hey, Rafael Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Ho-ho! I don't know why I said it like that. One piece of business before we get to prize picks. I forgot about this one. Did you guys see this? The Big 12 and the WWE.
And his name is John.
It's John Cena. It's the big show. It's the big show. Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Bubba the Love Sponge banging your wife. Anyway, the point is, the Big 12 and WWE expand their partnership. WWE will hold several episodes of Friday Night SmackDown. We're smacking it down on Friday nights. In Big 12 markets the night before football games, including Week 0 in Ireland for K-State and ISU, and Orlando show before UCF and Bill Belichick's girlfriend. So, do you like this? I mean, it can't hurt the Big 12.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool. It's not something that's on my radar.
Jake, it's live as Raw, Jake. Raw is live.
Yeah. Raw has been a big problem lately.
The Hulkster,
illegal.
Hulkamania.
I can't. Yeah. Wow, man.
And his name is John C.
Triple H.
Yeah. Wow, dude.
Stephanie McMahon.
The Undertaker. We get it.
Sting.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Tito
I don't
Santana.
know. I'm just not like, oh man, wow, what a partnership. Like, yeah, it's good. Okay, great. I like the championship belt thing. That's cool.
Okay.
But I'm not just like, oh man, I'm over the moon. Like,
but Jake, Raw is war.
Raw is war, dude. Yeah.
And Raw is college football war.
Right.
Capazzo. I would pat Danica multiple times a day, every day. Would you really?
Who are you, Stefan?
I'm not a fan. True TV for Mountain West games. Big Daddy Magic. Will you please stop playing that stupid thing? I don't like it. It pisses me off. Listen.
And his name is John C.
Raw is war, Big Daddy Magic.
Yeah, Raw is war, dude.
I listen.
I don't know. I've never been a huge wrestling guy. It's just never really been my thing, but
I think it matters. I think it is. I think it matters. And I think it is one of those things that you have to do what you have to do to reach younger demos.
Yeah.
That's
I would agree
my
with
opinion.
That. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And I think that's a big deal. I do. I think that it is. I think it's a big deal. I don't have an issue with it.
Yeah.
So I think we'll find out. We'll find out. And I think it's a very good thing for the Big 12. I think it is a very good thing for the Big 12. Okay, Prize Picks, the official daily fantasy partner of the Monty Show.
Just do the read today. I don't want to talk about. We can't.
So on the show yesterday,
I'm not.
And we all know that John Cena
Better send those refunds.
Is our favorite wrestler on this show. Because, Prize
And
Picks
his name is John C.
And Prize Picks is Raw, right?
And it's war.
And it's war. That's probably the better way to put it. And I said last night not to take Shea Gilgeous-Alexander.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
In free throws. I told you, Jake wants to tell you he's a free throw getter, and I'm here to tell you he's not.
Excuse me. The free throw merchant.
Thank you, Doris. He's not. And Jake put a gun to my head and made me take them. And I lost because of it.
Yeah, well, they were also up 40, bro.
And anytime that you take advice from Jake on Prize Picks,
Anita, Dick, and me.
You're going to get inserted. And I should have learned my lesson.
But you didn't.
And somehow I didn't. So tonight, instead of Jake inserting, it's going to be Stephen A. Smith, because the promo on Prize Picks is the Stephen A. Smith Show 25% payout boost.
Wow, man. Guess I've really reached a new low in my life when you're trusting Stephen A. or Screaming A more than you trust me. So
who's the voicemail from?
Blood Donation Center.
Man, I had a good prank call the other day. Oh, it was so much fun. Stephen A. Smith's lineup If his
Thank
lineup
you.
hits, you get a 25% payout boost. Karl Anthony Towns.
The king of zesty.
21.5 points. More. Jalen Brunson. What a prick.
He's thick.
30.5 points. Pascal's Siakam. More than 20.5 points. Tyrese Halliburton. Less than 21.5 points.
Nah.
I'm going to opt into it. There ain't a chance in the world Tyrese Halliburton putting down less than 21.5.
Yeah. Buddy is a Knicks homer.
I'm going to go ahead here, and I am going to not do you think he gets I'm going to go more than
don't ask me. I'm an idiot, remember? So
less than 21 and a half.
I'm terrible at this.
Terrible. I'm going with that. I'm with that.
Okay.
And then I'm going to make my own lineup as well. Do the Knicks win tonight? Now, Jake the other night went Horny James, who you'll remember, said that Jake Retzloff was going to have an incredible year and it was going to be amazing. And that Jake Retzloff was going to be the MVP of the Big 12 and the best quarterback in the league. Then all of a sudden, Jake Retzloff finds himself in a jackpot. And it's our opinion. I think it's hard to say that any other way that Horny James jinxed Jake Retzloff. He put the hex on him.
Right.
So what are you intending to do tonight to the New York Knickerbockers?
Tyrese Halliburton, more than 21 points.
Yes.
Zesty King, Karl Anthony Towns.
Zesty
more
King.
than 6 free throws attempted.
Okay.
And OG Anunoby for more than 16.5 points.
Okay. I'm going to go. Are you all right there?
Yeah, sorry. The phone was still playing our show.
I'm going to go Jalen Brunson, more than 9.5 free throw attempts.
Okay.
I think on Tyrese Halliburton, I am going to go more than 21.5. Screw Stephen A.
Yeah, screw him.
And then this next one's difficult because Miles Turner, 1.5 3-pointers. That's a tough one. Holy sweetness. Karl Anthony Towns, 6 free throws attempted. He is averaging 6 in the series. Do you go I think you got to go Cat more than 2 3-pointers made.
Okay.
I think you flex play that.
Flex.
And you hope for the best because it's been a cold streak. We've been sleeping on the couch.
Yep. Been eating noodles.
We don't have any blankets and our roof has a hole in it.
Bruh.
Nick Cannon stole our school clothes money.
Yep.
If you know that line, you with it, you know. I'm just telling you now. This is going to be tough.
Do the Knicks win tonight?
The Knicks win 156-13.
Okay.
Is my prediction. The line tonight, download the Prize Picks app, use the promo code Monty to open up a new Prize Picks account. You deposit $5, they'll give you 50 more instantly, and there is a fantastic Stephen A lineup challenge tonight. Go get it. And as far as the Knickerbockers tonight, I'm a little nervous about this because you guys are going to hate this next topic. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm just letting you know. You guys know that I am a kind, caring, concerned individual about your feelings.
Right.
You're going to hate this next topic because they better win because the NBA needs New York.
Facts.
Because ain't nobody want to watch OKC in Indianapolis.
Who?
Nobody want to watch in the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. The Knicks are one of the highest rated playoff teams in this round of the playoffs in years. They're pulling 7 million people for Knicks and Pacers. And let me tell you, that's about the Knicks, not the Pacers. Jake, does the NBA need the Knicks to win tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that the NBA needs the Knicks. I think that the postseason is not, you want the NBA Finals to be relevant, and frankly, the league needs them to be relevant. And I think that it goes without saying, Pacers Thunder for a basketball fan, like for someone who follows the game and knows the players, knows the personalities, knows how those games from an X's and O's standpoint will be played out. I think you'd be excited about that. I think Tyrese Halliburton versus SGA would be a hell of a matchup. But from a national casual perspective, yeah. With all due respect, Oklahoma City and Indiana, probably not ideal for the league. And I think that one of these conversations that, kind of needs to be had is teams making bad trades. Indiana wouldn't be here if the Kings hadn't made just that awful Tyrese Halliburton trade. And they did. And now Halliburton has repaid the Pacers with this success. And unfortunately, it's with the Pacers, with all due respect. I don't mean to hate, but you're not the Celtics. You're not, you're not the Knicks. You're not the Lakers. You're not the Bulls when they were good. So yes, the league needs the Knicks. But what the league needs more is a long series. That's what the league needs. If the Pacers were to win this series in 7, let's say, and go on, that would be better than the Pacers winning in 5. And that's what I think I would be looking for in tonight's game, because I am a massive believer that the NBA puts effort into extending series because they need the ratings.
But
they
we
need
haven't
the money.
seen that. We haven't seen that this year. Have we seen that?
Yeah, I guess we haven't, but we've seen it in the past.
Did the Lakers get breaks? No. Right? I mean, you would have to agree the Lakers did not get breaks.
No, they didn't. But I also think that like the Oklahoma City conversation is a conversation. I know you're saying, oh, numbers don't bear that out. Okay, well, public perception is that the numbers do bear it out. Not that that's true, but I'm just saying the league has to care about what the public views the league as. And I think that SGA is a great player. He's a star. I think, the post-game interview thing with the Thunder is hilarious, and I think is definitely gained traction on social media. And hopefully SGA can continue to grow in prominence nationally. But yeah, I think that the reality is, the truth is, the East needs bigger stars, man. The West is too loaded. The league is too unbalanced. And so what do we get? We get, hey, Bron and Steph and Katie and Book and all these dudes are in the West. Now Jimmy's in the West. And what's in the East? Well, you've got a tired-ass Celtics team in the East.
Yeah.
You've got a team in Miami that's dreadful. You've got a team in Cleveland that is underperforming and is, frankly, just not done what they needed to do. And so what happens when there's chaos? A random-ass team comes out of that. And in this case, it's Indiana. And by the way, I agree. Right now, Tyrese Halliburton is one of the stars of this league right now. Like, you're not try to tell me why he's not a star of the league right now.
I think Tyrese Halliburton, he's not Caitlin Clark. He's not the biggest star in his market. And I think that Tyrese Halliburton he's flashy.
You think Caitlin Clark's a bigger star than Tyrese Halliburton?
I do. I think Caitlin Clark has much higher Q factor. I think Caitlin Clark, I haven't seen a ticket price in the NBA drop as significantly as prices dropped for the Fever games when she got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't seen buildings in the WNBA sold out to the rafters when Tyrese Halliburton comes to town. I mean, he plays in Indiana. It's the biggest problem that I have with the Victor Wembanyama's of the world. He plays in San Antonio. Not a lot of Q factor there. And I think as good as OKC is, and they are legitimately the best team in the NBA right now. It's great for Oklahoma. It's great for Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
Is it good for the NBA? Is Indiana beating New York good for the NBA? No, it's not. Those TV audiences will be small. They will be small. And I don't see, at this point, you're down 3-1. I don't see any way that the Knicks are winning this series. As much as I would love to see the Knicks do it. I'm a huge Jalen Brunson guy, and He just doesn't pass the ball enough. OG Anunoby can't disappear in fourth quarters because he can't get the ball.
Totally agree.
And you got people saying that Jalen needs to shoot more. No, au contraire, mon frere. I think OG Anunoby needs to be utilized more. That's what's killing this team. And I love Cat. I love his game. He is not the guy that's going to carry you to a championship.
No.
And I know it's crazy. Jalen Brunson's going to get his. OG Anunoby is going to have a double-double minimum, like 20 and 10 game for them to win. And he'll have to shoot 45, 50% from three for the Knicks to win tonight.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I say, I mean, the NBA should step in, but will they? I don't know. I mean, I think that, this is what we saw in college basketball. Everyone wanted to say, oh man, just all, fair. Little guys got to get to the national championship. Oh, well, the NCAA national championship game had the smallest viewership it's had in like 5 years when it was San Diego State and FAU, I believe that game was.
Yeah.
So I'm not interested in the little guy, but I also think that, I don't know, man. I don't disagree that Caitlin Clark moves ticket prices more than most do. I would agree with that. I think Tyrese Halliburton is the closest thing to the next superstar we've had recently. I think,
Wow.
Well, what do you mean how?
Wow. I don't see him as a superstar at all.
Okay, well, what makes a superstar?
I think I think this is a problem with the East right now. You don't have who are the best young players in the East? I don't know. Is Giannis still a young player? He's got a ring.
He's not a young player. He's a name though. He's one of the best players in the East, certainly.
Is Donovan Mitchell not a name, in my opinion, not a face in the NBA? Is Paolo Banchero? No,
too small of a team.
What about Caterade in Detroit? Cade Cunningham. That's a guy that I love, who I think is a stud.
He's one of those guys where if you watch the NBA, Cade, but
right.
I don't think the casual knows Cade.
But the casual doesn't know Tyrese Halliburton. Tyrese Halliburton can run down the middle of the street and nobody's going to say two words.
I don't know.
Nobody knows who's that is. Nobody knows who that is.
I think he's got more than that. I think Tyrese through these playoffs has done some things.
I totally disagree. I just don't see that he's moved. I mean, the guy is not even leading his team in scoring.
Right, but he's clearly the best player on his team.
Yeah. He's 22nd in the NBA this postseason in scoring.
Okay.
You're not a superstar. You're not. And as much as I respect...
What do you make of Ant then? Because everyone wants to compare Ant and Tyrese Halliburton. That's kind of
I think Anthony Edwards is anything but a superstar. I think Anthony Edwards choked his ass off.
Agreed.
He was horrendous. He's the reason Minnesota lost. I mean, what he said the other night, I don't even know. I think we still have that video, but I don't even know.
This was not after last game, but the game before that.
I don't even know. Like, how do you reconcile this?
I don't look at it like I struggled or he struggled. They had a good game plan, making us get off the ball. Especially for me, man, it was super in the gaps. I made the right play all night, so I don't really look at it like I struggled. I didn't get enough shots to say I struggled, so that might be how you guys look at it. But yeah, I didn't struggle at all. It's just I made the right play.
What? Son, let me explain something to you. It's the NBA it's the NBA Western Conference Finals. You either did the job or you didn't. What superstar in this league? You're not locking LeBron down. You're not. Who's the best player in the Eastern Conference right now? You're not locking SGA down.
Well, Tatum in the Eastern Conference.
Tatum's Achilles tendon locked him down.
But before that,
he was going off.
Yeah.
You're not locking Jalen Brunson down. You look at the best players in basketball. You're not locking Jordan down. You're not locking Kobe down. You're not locking Shaq down. You're not locking Magic down. You think about the all-timers and the guys that really perform in the brightest lights. You're not locking Steph down.
Mm-hmm.
You're just not doing that. Tyrese Halliburton can walk into a crowded bar right now, and if it's Chicago or Detroit or Indianapolis, sure, people will know who he is. He walks into a bar in OKC, there's not a damn soul that's going to know who Tyrese Halliburton is. He can walk into pretty much any bar in this country, and most people will not know who he is.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not a superstar. Can LeBron walk into any bar in this country and Can he walk down any street in this country? Can he?
I'm not trying to make the argument Tyrese Halliburton is LeBron James or on that level from a like a notoriety standpoint.
But is he a star?
Yes, he's a star.
Okay, so is he Jokic?
Yes. Well, look at his stats. Look at the last game, dude. He just put up a Jokic style game. Look at this right here: 32, 15, and 12.
One game. You want to talk about like Jokic, 26 points, shooting 50% from the floor, playing 38 minutes a game, averaging 13 rebounds a game, 8 dimes. That's over a 14-game span in the playoffs. Meanwhile, Tyrese Halliburton in the same 14 games is averaging 19 points, right? He's shooting 33% from 3. Like the guy, he's not even in the same hemisphere, in my opinion. I think we have to stop labeling guys stars and superstars because they're allegedly the best player on their team. I need a guy. Reggie Miller was a superstar.
I'm telling you that half of the reason I'm watching the Knicks Pacers is to see what Halliburton does with the Knicks. Like, that's half the series, dude.
It's not on my radar.
Yeah, we're just different then. You're looking for other things, and I'm telling you that he's dominating the Knicks. Like, he is.
Like the stats don't agree with you.
How did the stats not agree with me?
With all due, because the stats say that he's averaging 24 points and 11 dimes. That's not dominating the Knicks.
Okay, what's dominating them?
Okay.
Well, what's dominating them?
We can argue. Look, you want to call this guy like some amazing... he's not. He's an average garden variety player who, in my opinion, is not anything special, not anything unique. Is he a good player? And when he's hot, is he hot? Yeah, but I could say that about anybody. I can say, like, you look at their roster. You look at their roster, and what's his... why can I not think of the cat's name? Andrew Naismith. Like, just going off that one game from 3. Like, that's unbelievable. 8 of 9. 30 points. Oh, he's dominating the Knicks. Holy fuck. Well, actually, no, he's not. He went 8 of 9 from 3. Right? Like, you can't... We've got to stop this thing where we make guys these special, unique players when they're not. Give me 30 points every game. Don't take games off. Don't take possessions off. That's being a superstar, right? You want to put it on these guys. Okay, hey, I'm here. I'm here to have the conversation about is Tyrese Halliburton even the best player in this series? No, he's not, because he ain't averaging 33.5 points like Jalen Brunson is. He's not doing it night in and night out like Jalen Brunson is. That's the best player in this series. Tyrese Halliburton's a good player. He's not a superstar.
Okay, great.
Okay. That's where you want to leave it.
Yeah, because you're not open to Tyrese Halliburton being more than, whatever you want to call him. So
he's
fine.
A good player. You want to make him one of the best players in the NBA, and he's
better
simply
than
not.
He's better than Donovan Mitchell.
No, he's not.
Okay. He just beat Donovan Mitchell straight up.
Right, but Donovan, he also has a supporting cast. See, you can't.
So what are you going to say when Tyrese Halliburton goes to the NBA Finals? Donovan Mitchell hasn't gone to the NBA Finals.
Okay,
and
ask me when the NBA Finals are over. This is a Devin Booker conversation. Devin Booker didn't perform in the NBA Finals. You surely cannot believe that when he averaged 17 points a game against Cleveland, he's not the reason they beat the Cleveland Cavaliers. He is simply is not. He was a pedestrian player against the Cleveland Cavaliers. He was that same pedestrian player against the Milwaukee Bucks when he averaged 17 points a game. Now, maybe it's Indiana, it's New York, it's the Knicks, it's the Garden, it's awesome crowds. He's meeting the moment. But you know what the problem is? He also has games in this series where He scored 14 points. He scored 20 points. And yeah, he's had a 31 and a 32-point game using all that talent he's got. But that's not what superstars do. They do it game in and game out. And Tyrese Halliburton is not the player that Donovan Mitchell is. Now, obviously, the problem with Donovan Mitchell is he doesn't stay healthy and his teams don't win. Tyrese Halliburton's team is about to win 3 straight playoff series. That's pretty damn good. And if they win this series, I'm not counting them out against OKC, because I think the real magic in the Indiana Pacers is that they have the ability to get Pascal Siakam for 30 points. They've got 2 guys putting up big numbers, and then you get Miles Turner, and you get 20 points from Benedict Mathurin off the bench. That's why they're good. It's not because Tyrese Halliburton's having some singular unbelievable performance, which on the flip side is the problem for the Knicks. So anyway, there endeth the lesson. Johnny Gonzalez Booker is a victim of the Suns organization and the way they handle business. Well, Devin also was in the NBA Finals, and he had an opportunity, and he didn't shoot the ball very well. You know, Redwine, the main question is, what did Boston do wrong? Well, Jason Tatum got hurt.
It's that simple.
That's a different series if Tatum stays healthy. And I don't think you can compare them winning the title last year to this year, because they were playing better basketball this year than they were last year. And then Tatum got hurt. And I would remind you, they won the next game without Tatum. So any player who is above average playing the Knicks would look like a superstar. And I also think the Knicks are having trouble defending well. How they're giving up the 3-point line, I'll never understand it. I will never understand it. NHL has had a better playoff than the NBA, but that's every year.
And we're not talking about that.
Yeah. I don't think the NBA playoffs have been bad.
Yeah. I mean,
The issue is that the biggest names in the NBA are not currently balling. That's the problem. You don't have big names in the playoffs currently still, and I think it's going to plague the TV ratings. I think it's going to be a real problem. BYU football. Okay. Well, I appreciate the comment on the 511. In my opinion, the league was down this year, which is why the Thunder are in the finals. The Thunder are legitimately good. The Thunder are deep, and man, they shoot the ball exceptionally well.
And they can suffocate you defensively. Like,
yeah. I am. Yeah. LaFlop actually can go unnoticed. That's why he'll never be near MJ status in terms of recognition. Probably a different show. Fight on Natties. Monty, if the Knicks or Pacers were in the Western Conference, would either one be playing in the conference finals right now? No. I seriously don't. I don't think they would. The team that ran out of gas because of the mileage on the tires is the Denver Nuggets. Yeah. They ran out of gas. They were tired. I don't think there's any way to
thing earlier in the year, and
I would agree. Well, you know what, Boyd Lake, defense wins championships in the NBA, and Indiana's been able to get stops, and the Knicks have not been able to get stops. I agree with that. Oh, absolutely, Pontiff. Rick Carlisle has owned Tibbs, and I think Tibbs should be fired after this. He is, in my opinion. You can't explain to me the rotations, why McBride has not been getting more bigger minutes with the way he's been shooting the corner 3, why he has not been able to find OG Anunoby in the fourth quarter. Like, you just can't figure it out. You just can't figure it out. The Thunder have so much draft capital, they could be winning NBA finals for a decade. They need to keep drafting players.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be able to buy they're not going to be able to buy their talent to remain there. You're going to have to eventually, because guys like SGA are going to want to get paid in bigger markets. And they'll have the ability, if they continue to draft well, though, that's a team that you'll see will continue to go. Joseph Harper, OKC and Indiana. It may be the first time. I can't remember what the exact stat is, but it's the first time that a taxpayer is not in the NBA Finals, which is wild, which is absolutely wild, but is what it is. All right. Since Jake isn't, are you going to be okay? Like you seem.
Yeah, I just wish that we weren't so against, like you're just looking at points. The guy's putting up points, rebounds, assists. Like he plays the game.
Points.
He okay. Well, then what are you looking at? You just said
he can't carry a team.
Okay.
He is not hard to defend. What is his best attribute?
That you can't stay in front of him. That's his best attribute. That he can make a decision to either give it up or score depending on the situation, and you can't stop that. And I think that's been one of the most difficult things for the Knicks to contend with in this series. They're not. You talk about them not being on the 3-point line. Why are they not on the 3-point line? Because he's getting into the paint with regularity, and they're having to collapse, or else they're going to pick up fouls.
Yeah, I think we just see it differently. I think that Tyrese Haliburton has to be hot from 3, or he does not carry games. I mean, it's what we've seen on that team. It's the story of the Pacers. And it's one that when you run into OKC in the finals is going to be very difficult for them because OKC doesn't care how you play. They can defend you inside and out. And I think it's going to be very difficult for Pascal Siakam in that series. He does not match up well with the Thunder. And Tyrese has a guard that in SGA who can handle him. So I think that's going to be very difficult. Yeah. Eric Wasikowski, lavender makes Jake spicy, apparently.
Yeah, I guess. Apparently. Or just silly comments about us taking shows off on Fridays, I mean,
Okay. Fight on Natties. Monty, that lavender polo is making Jake too sensitive. Jake tends to lock on to things. And listen, as I'm okay with it. You okay, little buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like that there's not. Yeah, we just see it differently.
There's not what?
There's not. It's not. You deflected off of Donovan Mitchell and went to Devin Booker. Like, you can't sit here and honest to God say that Donovan Mitchell is a better player right now, or really at any time, if you compare where Tyrese is with where Donovan would be at their times in their careers. You can't sit here and be like, yeah, Donovan Mitchell didn't have a supporting cast when he was in Salt Lake. The guy had a supporting cast.
I never said that Donovan Mitchell didn't have a supporting cast. I said Donovan Mitchell on an individual basis is a better player, especially now that he's defending. Donovan Mitchell is a better player than Tyrese Haliburton. And when I look at Tyrese Haliburton, it is certainly not an indictment. But the things that I don't like about Tyrese Haliburton is there are times where he is not focused. I think that Donovan Mitchell is more experienced. I believe Donovan's 27, 28. He's 28 years old. Tyrese Haliburton's 25, excuse me. And I think when I look at their overall games and I look at their numbers and I look at the way that Donovan Mitchell has an ability to pull a roster along to a certain point because his body breaks down on him. I think that Donovan Mitchell's a better player. I think when I look at how Donovan Mitchell, you look at his scoring numbers, you look at his assist numbers, I think Donovan Mitchell can score from anywhere on the floor. And I think Tyrese Haliburton has to have his 3-point shot to score. Because if he's not shooting the 3, he's not getting to the basket. He also has far better 3-point shooting than Donovan has. Like, Tyrese Haliburton has a bunch of dudes who will knock down threes. Donovan Mitchell does not. He doesn't have a guy he can relieve. Like, who's his number 2 in Cleveland?
Darius.
Who's not playing, was injured. Evan Mobley's his number 2. Good, not a great player. But you look at the way that the roster shakes down. Pascal Siakam, a playoff-tested championship player who has been there and done that and is performing at the highest level. Donovan didn't have that this year. You cannot make the argument that Tyrese Haliburton, based on numbers or the eye test, was a better player than Donovan Mitchell in the postseason, because he wasn't. And then Donovan Mitchell does what Donovan Mitchell does. He gets hurt. And Tyrese Haliburton and the Pacers knocked him out. Does that mean that Tyrese is a better player than Don? It does not. Is Tyrese a better three-point shooter than Donovan Mitchell? I'm going to say he's not. I'm going to say that Donovan Mitchell is a guy who needs to stay healthy. Donovan Mitchell is somebody who on the regular for his career over 8 years shoots 37% from three. He is a consistent performer. And when you look at Tyrese Halliburton in 5 years, he shoots 39% from three. But you start looking at volume, you start looking at why those numbers are like that. I'm taking Donovan Mitchell every single day. Put Tyrese Halliburton on Cleveland, and they're not nearly the team that they are with in the playoffs. So I'm not telling you that Tyrese Halliburton's trash, because I don't think he is. It's why I go through guys who are similar in style to them. I look at Cade Cunningham, very similar player to those guys. I look at Devin Booker. I think Devin Booker's the best mid-range player in the NBA who needs to shoot the three more consistently. And when he gets an opportunity to win a championship, you got to win. If Tyrese Halliburton goes to the NBA Finals and wins and is the reason the Pacers win, well, now you're on a different level.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's going to be tough for him to do.
I would agree. Their matchup against OKC is not good.
No, but my point is, when you talk about deflecting from Donovan, I'm not deflecting from Donovan at all. Donovan deflects from Donovan because he won't be healthy in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Can't lay on the floor holding your feet and your ankles, man. Doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't. And every year Donovan does that shit. And so I look at Tyrese. I think that they break your back with 3-point shooting in Indiana.
Yeah, I guess the things that I look at, like if we're just looking at his recent games, like you're right about most of the stuff you're saying. I think the only part that I statistically disagree with is the 3-point. He needs a 3-pointer to get a game going. If you look at his stats, he's got, of course, ESPN won't load, but it was like the last game he had, 32 points, 15 assists, 12 boards. Okay, great game for him. One of his best games. All right, don't look at that game. All right, cool. He was 5 of 12 from 3 in that game. Don't look at that game. Let's look at a mediocre game by Tyrese's standards, right? The game 3 performance against the Knicks, where they win 114-109. He's got 14 points, 11 assists, 8 rebounds. He did 30% from 3 of 10. 30% on 10 attempts is not good. That's not helping your team. They still win the game. Okay.
How many free throws did he shoot that game?
He had 2 free throws that game. 2 free throws.
So they
1 and 2 from the line.
Completely limited him, and he was a -2 in that game.
So then before that, game 1 or game 2, or no, that'd be game 1. 31 points, 11 assists, 4 rebounds, 4 of 12. 3 of 4 from the line. So, yeah, does it help to make threes? Yeah. But I don't think that he's...
think about the threes he's making, though. How many times this playoffs have he gone out and heaved up a 3 at the buzzer?
Yeah, he's made some buzzer beaters.
That's his game. He runs on emotion. He doesn't run on process. He doesn't run on... He's not Steph, who when the 3 ball's not going down, he's going to turn into a bunch of other stuff. That's not who Tyrese Halliburton is. So certainly not one-dimensional.
What do you make of... So, okay, if he's not going to do other stuff, what do you make of his assist and rebounding contributions? Because those always seem to be there.
Not his assist numbers, but again, how do you build assist numbers? Nikola Jokic. How do you have triple-doubles consistently? Because you got guys who knock it down. And I think one of the things that they have on that ball club is they got guys that knock it down.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody on that team knocks it down. When you're getting 26 off your bench, dude, you got a guy knocking it down.
Yeah, I just think we I don't know, we haven't talked much NBA. And I feel like we just are seeing the postseason very differently.
Tyrese Halliburton has to score at all 3 levels consistently, and he doesn't do that. He doesn't get to the line enough. He's a guy. It's what Jalen Brunson has. It's why he's a monster. You give him space, he's going to step back and drop threes on you. You don't give him space, he's going to step in and you're going to foul him. And if you don't foul him, he's going to get a layup. That's what Tyrese Halliburton has to do. You've got to shoot between 8 and 10 free throws every single night. That's how you become a superstar in this league. All the best players, with the exception of SGA, because SGA doesn't shoot a lot of free throws. But when you start getting into the real meat of these players, how is Donovan Mitchell scoring the number of free throws that he is, or scoring the number of points he's scoring? Because he's shooting 17 free throws, or 21 free throws and 14 free throws and 21 free throws. That's how you become a superstar in this league. It's why Jokic is such a star. It's why LeBron is such a star. Later, look at Michael Jordan late in his career. What did he do? Get to the line. Kobe, get to the line. You look at the guys who are the realist. They're always at the line. And Tyrese doesn't do that. And so when you ask me to compare him to Donovan Mitchell, that's easy. But it shouldn't matter. It's Tyrese Halliburton versus Jalen Brunson. And does Jalen Brunson have the balls to do this tonight? Because I think he is going to have to make OG Anunoby win this game for him. Because now you're playing it one night at a time.
Mm-hmm.
They can go to Indiana and win. Because remember what this is now. New York, right? Because you're 3-1 now. Game 5's in New York. Game 6 is in Indiana. Game 7 is in New York. You have to go and you've got to win tonight, because what happens on, I guess it'd be Saturday night, doesn't even matter.
Right.
Because if you don't get to Saturday night, what does it matter? You got to win tonight. Then you got to win Saturday. Then you got to win Monday. And the problem is the Knicks are built to do that. And I'm not saying they're going to. I think Indiana will close out on Saturday.
That's the biggest issue with the Knicks, is they have the capability and they don't.
Yeah, they're underachieving because their coach is a dickhead.
Yeah.
Their coach is John Cena.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can't even call for drops anymore. I'm just not. Jake is so pissed off. I'm not allowed to.
Right.
You know, are you pissed off because you're getting divorced?
Nope. But maybe I should get divorced from Tyrese since, So, anyway. Go ahead.
This is the same guy who sends me a video of a Joker video today.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't, I can't remember what he said, what he's talking about, but he essentially said, I'm gonna.
If you don't release the names on the Diddy list,
yes,
I'm gonna lube up my bros.
I'm gonna lube up my bros. I know where to get the lube. I'm gonna put it on the stairs.
CVS.
Nobody's leaving.
Yeah.
That's what this guy does, and he wonders why karma comes back to get him when he says stupid shit about Tyrese Halliburton.
Mm-hmm.
Millennials are getting divorced at the same rate as Gen Zers.
Gen Xers,
excuse me.
Yeah.
23% of millennials. And the median divorce age for millennials is now 38 to 41. So the back end of millennials are getting divorced. And we kind of talked about this the other day, where, first of all, it's a little surprising the numbers are up because the average millennial is not getting married.
Right. So the ones that did.
The ones that did get married are struggling. And they say they're struggling because they're arguing over core issues that do not include money. It's career and life path and all the things that we always talk about on this show. Are you at all? Does any of this surprise you?
I mean, not really. I think that millennials, they tend to get stuck with what's right in front of them and not have the longer term vision to see, like, all right, well, this is our challenge now, but like, how do we overcome that? How do we, set ourselves up for the future? And I think that that's the problem is that, like, you guys remember the whole fad of like living in a van and driving around the country
down by the river.
Yeah, that was like a massive millennial thing. And I think it's just a representation of like what my generation, some people I'm not going to say everybody, obviously, but a big enough portion.
People.
Yeah, those people who just want the break we took as a generation on, career doesn't matter, and
right,
we can just live in a van and drive around, and who cares about if we have to make money or what, that's what causes problems. That this ideology, if you will, of like, hey, we're just going to skip out on the hard part and just do whatever the hell we want to do.
Do you think that's what it is? That how you describe it, like skipping out on the hard part?
Because you're saying the study said that this wasn't about money as much as it was about
it wasn't, because
like
these
value issues.
These are the millennials who did not become dramatically, their growth wasn't stunted by the pandemic. Okay, these are the millennials that were essentially born 1981 to 1984. Right? That's the older millennial, the 41-year-old, the 38 to 41-year-old, who, if you do some math, was in their mid-20s when the pandemic hit or later. Okay, because if we look at 2017 to 2021, that period of time where we were all stuck in the pandemic drag, I mean, you look at that is what 81, 91, 2001 to 21. You're 30 years old. So you were 28 to 30 years old. So you were already gainfully employed. You were already taking those multiple steps forward. And the average millennial length of marriage is 6 years, which is very interesting because 6 years is not a long time.
No, it's not.
So you were average 6 years in a marriage and you're getting divorced when you're 38. So you got married after the pandemic was long over. And the core issues are life direction issues. They're not necessarily money issues. Like this boom of, and I shouldn't say boom, the divorce epidemic amongst baby boomers was always about money.
Right.
They struggled for money. The late 70s and 80s were very difficult on boomers with gas prices, recessions, interest rates through the roof. Like, oh, I know the same issues that younger millennials were facing because of the pandemic.
Right.
But that's not why these older millennials are getting divorced. I just think it's very interesting when you look at the relationships of millennials and you look at the struggles, and we seem to talk about this a lot. I think it's very difficult to be 30 to 35 years old and not have your face buried in your phone.
Yeah.
You know, like it's something that Mrs. Monty and I have really had to work on. Hey, this is our time. And we're still on our phones a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the phone is definitely a problem. There's no doubt about it. But I think that we get caught in this habit of saying, oh, well, the phone itself is the issue, or like the fact, like the cell phone has changed it's not the cell phone. It's that we want to run from our reality. So we jump into our phone for a distraction. And we do this so often that it's become just a habit, an unconscious, oh, let me look at my phone. Like, instead of saying, well, what's my wife doing? You know, what's going on here? Like, how can I get involved? Whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's the issue. And I think that, I think that, people don't want to do what they have to do to get to where they want to go. And I hate saying that because I feel like I'm on this high horse, but it's like, dude, like, I know a lot of people who are just, like, they're getting married just to say they're married. But they may not, like, deep down, they may not even like be happy or whatever. Like they're like, it's just a vanity play. And I think that's part of why millennials find themselves in trouble sometimes, is because we just want to do what, you have the sector of millennials who want to just do what their parents tell them to do. Like, they just want to please their parents.
Yeah. You cannot anymore, in my opinion. If you are under 35 years old, you don't get to do what you want to do anymore.
Yeah.
And I say this all the time. If you're somebody that is 16 to 20, you don't get to do what you want to do. Because the world's a different place now, right? And it's the Joe Rogan long-held stoicism that tough times make tough men.
Yeah.
Well, we're coming out of some really soft times. There's a lot of soft dudes in this world. And I think that you have to make tough choices, pragmatic choices. You don't get to do what you want to do. You got to do what's got to be done. And I think anymore, when you're a millennial and you're facing the challenges of home ownership, pressure to get married. You see the younger millennial got people that are your age, young 30s that aren't married. They're getting a lot of pressure to get married right now.
Well, and I think it's not pressure in the traditional sense. And I think this is fascinating too for people. Like, it's not like someone's just like beating you over the head to get married, but it's this dynamic where if you're not married, a lot of your friends have gotten married. And so it's this social circle thing that's kind of like, hey, all my friends are getting married. Like, you know,
because that's your mom and dad now. It used to be in my generation, if we weren't married, it's, hey, when are you guys getting married? When are you guys getting married? It's not mom and dad anymore. Now it's friend and best friend who are like, hey, when are you guys getting married? Does he love you? Does she like you? Are you guys just kind of hanging out? Like, it's worse. I think that ratchets pressure up.
And so, you know, I think that, you know, there has to be this, I don't know, I'm just a big believer now more than ever that you have to double down on the concept of having your reliable 9 to 5 and then having your side hustle that you're working on and building, and making sure that in the day to day you have things that make you happy. Like, there has to be, you know, there one of the lessons I've certainly learned with how much we work right now is that, you know, if you don't put enough time into yourself and being happy and like doing something that you enjoy at least once a week, like, that's a problem, dude. And that's going to degrade you to a certain point. And, you know, like, that has to happen.
I'll continue to espouse this on the show, and I don't care how old you are. Confidence is a skill that you have to practice on a daily basis, because it is one of those things where, I mean, you can't anymore in this day and age believe that you're just going to wake up and feel great about life, because that's just, the world is a very heavy place right now. And I think you have to work on a daily basis to build your confidence level. You have to gain skill. And whether that is whatever your chosen profession is, work on that skill. Feel good about what you're doing, because the job market sucks right now.
And not to cut you off, for all you buffoons in the comments section right now talking about, you know, that we're a football show and what are we talking about? Like, you're an idiot, dude.
Who are we talking about
like,
here? Mr. E, I subscribe for football, not marriage advice. So unsubscribe, man. Like unsubscribe.
Like, cool.
You don't have to be here.
By the way,
we spent 2 hours on college football to start the show, man.
Go back to the beginning.
Learn the culture before you run your mouth.
Yeah. And that's what I don't
unsubscribe, my guy.
That's what I don't like we do. You know, like, bro,
good Lord.
You come in here. We've been live for almost 3 hours. And you want to say, oh, this is why okay, well, go back to the beginning, dude. Like, don't come in here and be an asshole about it. There's no reason for that. And I think that's the other part. The reason I bring that up is that's the other part that I think, you know, contributes to us being not as nice as we want to be. Jaded is a good word for it. We work so much and we don't have any enjoyment in life right now that it's like, what is the point? That's what I hear this a lot. Hey, like, what is my purpose? What am
I supposed to be doing? Why am I so unhappy? Why can't I find comfort? Because it is that old saying, nobody's going to do the work for you.
Yeah. And I think the compounding part is people don't know what work to do.
And I think, listen, you guys, I've told you this. I'm 52. I'm building a side hustle right now that is new to me. And I'm learning and I'm processing. And I just hope that you understand, failure is not the end unless you make it the end. And we so much right now in this country fall down and we just don't have the mental fortitude to get back up. Right? It's the Navy SEALs that I'm always so fascinated about Navy SEALs. Why am I fascinated? To be a Navy SEAL, they put you through just hellacious times. And hell week to be a Navy SEAL. And I used to work at KGO in San Francisco, and I had a Navy SEAL on. And I will never forget the stories he told me about when he was in SEAL training and you're passing this test. And I don't remember how long it is. It's like 27, 30 hours. You're in the water, you are cold, and you are not sleeping, and you're not eating very much. And it's tough. You are carrying logs, you are carrying boats, you are carrying your teammates. And you're in the ocean, and you're on a beach. And they put a post in the ground on the beach, and it's got a bell on it. And when you're ready to quit, All you have to do, it's right there. It's 10 feet away. Go ring the bell. All the pain's over. You're too cold. Go ring the bell. We'll warm you right up. And they're saying this to you the entire time because you're standing there, cold temperatures in the ocean, trying to hold this log. And he was telling me about this boat that these drill sergeants or trainers or whatever they're called in the Navy SEAL program. You're holding a boat over your head with your teammates, and you have no control of your arms. And they're yelling in your ear. And then the next time around, they're like, hey, buddy.
Hey, Monty.
I know it hurts. Just go ring the bell. It'll be over.
Yeah.
And they're just in your ear constantly. And he said there were so many moments where I was ready to walk over to that bell. And he vividly remembers 5-6 times where he started drifting and leaning towards the bell. And his buddy and his teammate pushed him away. And he pushed his buddy and teammates away. And he talked about the one time he grabbed a guy on his boat crew by the belt because that guy was going to walk to the bell.
Yeah.
None of them quit. And I'm telling you, it's so easy to go ring the bell. But there's nothing on the other side. You don't get warmer. You get colder. You don't feel better. You feel worse because you rang the fucking bell.
Yeah.
Don't ring the bell. Don't give up. Don't quit. Don't lay down. And listen, if you're cold and you trip and you fall, get up. Keep going. And I agree. One of the hardest things for people, especially young people nowadays, you 20 to 28, 29-year-olds, you don't have dreams anymore. I wanted to be a radio talk show host since I was pretty much old enough to understand I wanted to be a lawyer or a talk show host. That's not how the world works right now. It's not. And the problem is when you quit, you're always going to quit. When you go ring the bell, you'll always go ring the bell because it gets easier to quit every time.
Yes.
It gets easier to fold every time you fold.
Yeah, and I think that's the difference. Like there isn't really like a dream thing happening. It's more just like how do we get to a place where money isn't such a problem? You know, like that's honest to God what I feel like most people think about. And I think the difference is most people, or at least enough people, don't know how to fix that problem. You know, they don't.
Money can't be your ultimate motivator because you learn quickly. And Jake and I have experienced this. When you're chasing the money, you never catch it. You have to have some passion or want to for what you're doing. You have to enjoy what you're doing because it's hard. It's hard to build a business.
Yes.
It's hard to be 52 working 3 jobs essentially to try and do this one thing over here. You know how many mornings my alarm goes off and I'm just like, yeah, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to sleep an extra hour. I'm going to, and then I just get up. My wife gets up every day at 5 o'clock and does at least an hour of working out. How am I going to lay in bed? How am I going to lay in bed when she's working out, when she's on the Peloton or she's on the road or she's on her bike? How am I supposed to just lay in bed? You can't do that, right? Like, I mean, it's crazy to me. Boyd Lake, what purpose? Want purpose? Find someone who needs your help and help them. And don't tell anybody you're helping them.
Yeah.
What are you going to do for somebody where it's no gain to you? That's character. If you watch the show with regularity, you would realize that the first 2.5, 2.75 hours of the show is about sports. And that bit of the show is non-sports. That's the format. So deal with it. Like, it's not rocket science.
I just don't understand why people come in and are like, oh, well, you guys should only talk about college football. And if you don't, I'm going to unsubscribe. Cool. Great. Awesome.
Good luck.
Like,
yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. Build your skills. That will build your confidence. Good advice, dudes. It's true.
Yeah.
Your relationship with yourself is the most important relationship in your life. Gumby says 69th like. Love it. Please hit the like button. I enjoy these discussions, Zona Tucson says. I appreciate it. Thank you. It's Thursday, which means it's multiple topics and dumb comments. I love Thursdays.
Yeah,
Scott Adams, a smart guy, talks about building a skill stack. Oh, I'm a big believer in skill stacks. I totally agree with that. Totally agree. Seth Hatmaker, Took me too long to learn this. Tell yourself you like yourself. Extreme ownership. Here's my boundary. Here's my consequences of that boundary. And don't negotiate with yourself. Do not negotiate with yourself. I'll sleep an extra hour workout tonight. No, you won't. You'll get your ass out of bed and you'll work out right now. No, don't negotiate with yourself. Set a goal and make it non-negotiable. It's that I've told you guys, my goal is $100,000 a month within the next 12 months. And that's not negotiating. I'm not willing to do that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to negotiate that. It is, yes, quitting is the first step to losing at the game of life. Yes, it is. There's no doubt. I can lay in bed an extra hour. I plan on doing that tomorrow. That's the weekend for me.
Yes.
Jeff Woodworth, as a financial planner, divorce is expensive. My God, yes, it is.
Yes. You want to talk about quitting? Is that not what divorce is?
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
wealthy people are seldom undisciplined. Seldomly undisciplined. You very rarely meet a billionaire who got lucky. You very rarely, maybe it's generational wealth,
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, you very rarely meet billionaires who got lucky.
Yeah.
The Monty Show, as always, presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. Clear risk-free advice, 24/7, 365. The best part is it costs you nothing. There's no upfront cost. You don't pay the advocates unless and until they win your case. So what do you have to lose? You're thinking, do I need a lawyer? Yes. Should I trust my insurance company? No. Give the claims process to the advocates. They're going to fight for you, man. They are going to fight for you. They've been there. They've done that. Theadvocates.com. Chat with an injury attorney right now. Live online, and it won't cost you a dime at theadvocates.com. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.